know. A man who truly cares about people. The mainstream media likes to push the narrative that he doesn't care about anyone but himself. I absolutely know that's not the truth because I've been friends with this guy for 25 years. And for the people who know me, they'll know this is true. I just want to make something very clear. Nobody in the Trump campaign has ever told me what to say. Nobody tells me what to say, and I'm nobody's puppet. And I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. And I know President Trump. I know President Trump is a fighter. I've been saying this since 2015. Now look at what's happened over the last 10 years. We have all seen it with our own eyes. I'm in the tough guy business, and this man is the toughest, most resilient human being that I've ever met in my life. The higher the stakes, the harder he fights, and this guy never, ever gives up. So what's at stake here? The answer is in President Trump's text, and I quote, "A fight for our country." I know why he's running for president again. Why else would he put himself through everything he's dealt with just to get back here? We all know he doesn't need this. This guy's got a great life. He has a beautiful family, and he has achieved everything that you could possibly achieve in life. I know President Trump is literally putting his life on the line for something bigger than himself, and he's willing to risk it all because he loves this country. And I know he wants what's best for the American people, all American people. I know he's running for president to save our American dream. I'm living the American dream, and I know the American dream is very real. Whether you were born in this country or came here from someplace else, this is the last real land of opportunity. President Reagan once said, "Government's first duty is to protect the people, not run their lives." And if you're buried in government red tape, how will you ever start your own business? If you're struggling to pay your bills, how can you ever afford to start a family? And if you don't feel safe in your own town, why would you ever buy a house? I know that President Trump is fighting to save the American dream, and that's what's at stake in this election. We are choosing who we want to lead us in this fight. I know President Trump is a proven leader, a fearless leader, and this country was in a much better place when he was in the Oval Office. In my mind, the choice is clear. But this election, we all get to choose. I know I'm going to choose strength and security. I know I'm going to choose opportunity and prosperity. I know I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American badass. And I'm not telling you what choice to make, and I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I know. I know America needs a strong leader, and the world needs a strong America. I know Donald J. Trump is the best choice for President of the United States. My fellow Americans, it is my honor to introduce the 45th and soon-to-be 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife. Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause our flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit to Houston and New York to LA. There's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. But there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Wow. And thank you, Dana. Thank you, Kid Rock, sometimes referred to as Bob. And thank you, Lee, right from the beginning. Thank you very much. What a talent. What a beautiful, beautiful song. Thank you. Friends, delegates, and fellow citizens, I stand before you this evening with a message of confidence, strength, and hope. 4 months from now, we will have an incredible victory, and we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. Together, we will launch a new era of safety, prosperity, and freedom for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. The discord and division in our society must be healed. We must heal it quickly. As Americans, we are bound together by a single fate and a shared destiny. We rise together or we fall apart. I am running to be president for all of America, not half of America, because there is no victory in winning for half of America. So tonight, with faith and devotion, I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we will do it right. Going to do it right. Let me begin this evening by expressing my gratitude to the American people for your outpouring of love and support following the assassination attempt at my rally on Saturday. As you already know, the assassin's bullet came within a quarter of an inch of taking my life. So many people have asked me, what happened? Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened, and you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell. It was a warm, beautiful day in the early evening in Butler Township in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Music was loudly playing, and the campaign was doing really well. I went to the stage, and the crowd was cheering wildly. Everybody was happy. I began speaking very strongly, powerfully, and happily, because I was discussing the great job my administration did on immigration at the southern border. We were very proud of it. Behind me and to the right was a large screen that was displaying a chart of border crossings under my leadership. The numbers were absolutely amazing. In order to see the chart, I started to, like this, turn to my right and was ready to begin a little bit further turn, which I'm very lucky I didn't do, when I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear. I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage. These are great people at great risk, I will tell you, and pounced on top of me so that I would be protected. There was blood pouring everywhere, and yet, in a certain way, I felt very safe because I had God on my side. I felt that. The amazing thing is that prior to the shot, if I had not moved my head at that very last instant, the assassin's bullet would have perfectly hit its mark, and I would not be here tonight. We would not be together. The most incredible aspect of what took place on that terrible evening in the fading sun was actually seen later. In almost all cases, as you probably know, and when even a single bullet is fired, just a single bullet, and we had many bullets that were being fired, crowds run for the exits or stampede, but not in this case. It's very unusual. This massive crowd of tens of thousands of people stood by and didn't move an inch. In fact, many of them bravely, but automatically stood up looking for where the sniper would be. They knew immediately it was a sniper, and then began pointing at him. You can see that if you look at the group behind me. That was just a small group compared to what was in front. Nobody ran, and by not stampeding, many lives were saved. But that isn't the reason that they didn't move. The reason is that they knew I was in very serious trouble. They saw it. They saw me go down. They saw the blood and thought, actually most did, that I was dead. They knew it was a shot to the head. They saw the blood. And there's an interesting statistic. The ears are the bloodiest part. If something happens with the ears, they bleed more than any other part of the body. For whatever reason, the doctors told me that. I said, why is there so much blood? He said, it's the ears. They bleed more. So we learned something, but this beautiful crowd, they didn't want to leave me. They knew I was in trouble. They didn't want to leave me. And you can see that love written all over their faces. Incredible people. They're incredible people. Bullets were flying over us, yet I felt serene. But now the Secret Service agents were putting themselves in peril. They were in very dangerous territory. Bullets were flying right over them, missing them by a very small amount of inches. And then it all stopped. Our Secret Service sniper, from a much greater distance and with only one bullet used, took the assassin's life, took him out. I'm not supposed to be here tonight. Not supposed to be here. Yeah. Thank you. But I'm not. And I'll tell you, I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God. In watching the reports over the last few days, many people say it was a providential moment. Probably was. When I rose, surrounded by Secret Service, the crowd was confused because they thought I was dead, and there was great, great sorrow. I could see that on their faces as I looked out. They didn't know I was looking out. They thought it was over, but I could see it, and I wanted to do something to let them know I was okay. I raised my right arm, looked at the thousands and thousands of people that were breathlessly waiting, and started shouting, "Fight, fight, fight." Thank you. Once my clenched fist went up, and it was high into the air. You've all seen that. The crowd realized I was okay and roared with pride for our country like no crowd I have ever heard before. Never heard anything like it. For the rest of my life, I will be grateful for the love shown by that giant audience of patriots that stood bravely on that fateful evening in Pennsylvania. Tragically, the shooter claimed the life of one of our fellow Americans, Corey Comparator. Unbelievable person, everybody tells me. Unbelievable. And seriously wounded. Two other great warriors, spoke to them today. David Dutch and James Copenhaver. Two great people. I also spoke to all three families of these tremendous people. Our love and prayers are with them and always will be. We're never going to forget them. They came for a great rally. They were serious Trumpsters, I want to tell you. They were serious Trumpsters and still are. But Corey, unfortunately, we have to use the past tense. He was incredible. He was a highly respected former fire chief, respected by everybody. Was accompanied by his wife, Helen, incredible woman. I spoke to her today, devastated, and two precious daughters. He lost his life selflessly acting as a human shield to protect them from flying bullets. He went right over the top of them and was hit. What a fine man he was. I want to thank the fire department and the family for sending his helmet, his outfit, and it was just something, and they're going to do something very special when they get it. But we did something which cannot match what happened, not even close. But I am very proud to say that over the past few days, we've raised $6.3 million for the families of David, James, and Corey, including from a friend of mine just called up. He sent me a check right here. I just got it. $1 million from Dan Newland. Thank you, Dan. And again, when speaking to the family, I told them, I said, well, I'm going to be sending you a lot of money, but it can't compensate. They all said the same thing. You're right, sir. We appreciate so much what you're doing, but nothing can take the place in the case of Corey and the other two. By the way, they were very, very seriously injured, but now they're doing very well. They're going to be okay. They're going to be doing very well. They're warriors. So now I ask that we observe a moment of silence in honor of our friend Corey. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for others. This is the spirit that forged America in her darkest hours, and this is the love that will lead America back to the summit of human achievement and greatness. This is what we need. Despite such a heinous attack, we unite this evening more determined than ever. I am more determined than ever, and so are you. So is everybody in this room. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our resolve is unbroken and our purpose is unchanged to deliver a government that serves the American people better than ever before. Nothing will stop me in this mission because our vision is righteous and our cause is pure. No matter what obstacle comes our way, we will not break, we will not bend, we will not back down, and I will never stop fighting for you, your family, and our magnificent country. Never. And everything I have to give with all of the energy and fight in my heart and soul, I pledge to our nation tonight. Thank you very much. I pledge that to our nation. We're going to turn our nation around, and we're going to do it very quickly. Thank you. This election should be about the issues facing our country and how to make America successful, safe, free, and great again. In an age when our politics too often divide us, now is the time to remember that we are all fellow citizens. We are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we must not criminalize dissent or demonize political disagreement, which is what's been happening in our country lately at a level that nobody has ever seen before. In that spirit, the Democrat Party should immediately stop weaponizing the justice system and labeling their political opponent as an enemy of democracy. Especially since that is not true. In fact, I am the one saving democracy for the people of our country. And very big news, as you probably just read, on Monday, a major ruling was handed down from a highly respected federal judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, finding that the prosecutor and the fake documents case against me were totally unconstitutional, and the entire case was thrown out of court. With all of that publicity, thrown out of court. If Democrats want to unify our country, they should drop these partisan witch hunts, which I have been going through for approximately 8 years. And they should do that without delay and allow an election to proceed that is worthy of our people. We're going to win it anyway, but worthy of our people. On this journey, I am deeply honored to be joined by my amazing wife, Melania. And Melania, thank you very much. You also did something really beautiful, a letter to America calling for national unity, and it really took the Republican Party by surprise. I will tell you, it was beautiful. In fact, some very serious people said that we should take that letter and put it as part of the Republican platform. That would be an honor, wouldn't it? Right, Mr. Congressman? But it captivated so many. So I also want to thank my entire family for being here. Don, Kimberly, Ivanka and Jared, Eric and Lara, Tiffany and Michael, Baron. We love our Baron. And of course, my 10 wonderful grandchildren. You saw a few of them up there on my lap before. And how good was Dana? Was Dana good? I mean, was he good? He was on probably the only vacation he's had in about maybe ever, because he works, but about 10 years with his wife, very far away. I won't tell you where, but very, very far away, beautiful place. And my people called and he said, yeah, I won't be able to do it. This is many, many years. I promised my wife I can't do it. And they came in, they said, Dana won't be able to do it because he was my first, second, and third choice. I said, well, that's too bad, but I understand he's away and it's good. It's good for him. And that was it. About 30 minutes later, she came back in, sir, Dana just called. He's going to do it. And his wife, she said, you can't turn him down. You just can't do it. You have to go. That's a good wife. So he got on a plane. He got here a little while ago. Now he's going to get on the plane in a little while, and he's going to go back home to his wife. But they're great, and I just want to thank her and him and their whole family, because that's not easy. And Kid Rock, same thing. Called, he said, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part, because, Kid does his great song, big, big monster song. I had no idea. He became a friend of mine over the last 10 years. And he's amazing. Everyone loves him. I didn't even know how big he was. He has rallies, 35, 40,000 people he gets every time he goes out. I think he's making so much money, he doesn't know what the hell to do with it. You want to know? And then we have my other friend, and I've known him so long, and we took that song, and it was a big success, but we made that. I saw a chart of great songs to America. That was #1 on the chart recently, #1. So that's Lee Greenwood, very special, beautiful person. He's a beautiful man. But they all wanted to be here. They called. And how about the Hulkster? How good was he? You see him? Where is he? Boy, oh boy. They may call that entertainment. I know about entertainment, but when he used to lift a 350-pound man over his shoulders and then bench press him 2 rows into the audience, I say maybe entertainment, but he is one strong son of a gun. I will tell you, I watched it many times. There aren't a lot of entertainers that can do that, right? You were fantastic. Thank you very much. Followed by Eric. What was that all about? Boy, that was good. I didn't want to really come up here. But he was so great, and he's such a good young man. He went through a lot of trouble, and Don last night was incredible. They went through so much trouble. They got subpoenaed more than any people probably in the history of the United States. Every week they get another subpoena from the Democrats, crazy Nancy Pelosi, the whole thing, just boom, boom, boom. They've got to stop that because they're destroying our country. We have to work on making America great again, not on beating people. And we won. We beat them in all. We beat them on the impeachments. We beat them on indictments. We beat them. But the time that you have to spend, if they would devote that genius to helping our country, we'd have a much stronger and better country. And Jason, the biggest star in country music. Jason, thank you for being here. Jason, thank you very much. Jason Aldean, he's good. I like his wife even better, by the way. She's here. Thank you, Jason. But I'm thrilled to have a new friend and partner fighting by my side. The next Vice President of the United States, the current Senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, and his incredible wife, Usha. He's going to be a great vice president. He's going to be great. He'll be with this country and with this movement, greatest movement in the history of our country, Make America Great Again. When they criticize it, they say, we're going to try and stop MAGA. I said, MAGA is Make America Great Again. What are you going to stop? There's nothing to stop. Then they say, oh, that's right. It's very tough to fight it. And all of the people that did try and fight it have failed. But he's going to be with us for a long time, and it was an honor to select him. Great, great student at Yale. His wife was a great student at Yale. They met at Yale. These are two smart people. So, JD, you're going to be doing this for a long time. Enjoy the ride. And a very special thank you to the extraordinary people of Milwaukee and the great state of... Oh, there they are. There they are. You are so easy to spot. And Green Bay's going to have a good team this year, right? They're going to have a good team. They're going to have a good team. Most of the audience doesn't like it, but it's true. You're going to have a very good team this year. And by the way, Wisconsin, we are spending over $250 million here, creating jobs and other economic development all over the place. So I hope you will remember this in November and give us your vote. I am trying to buy your vote. I'll be honest about that. And I promise we will make Wisconsin great again. We're going to make it. Thank you, Mr. Governor. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm here tonight to lay out a vision for the whole nation. To every citizen, whether you're a young or old man or woman, Democrat, Republican, or independent, black or white, Asian or Hispanic, I extend to you a hand of loyalty and of friendship. Together, we will lead America to new heights of greatness like the world has never seen before. We were right there in the first term. We got hit with COVID. We did a great job. Nobody knew what it was, but nobody's ever seen an economy pre-COVID. And then we handed over a stock market that was substantially higher than just prior to COVID. Coming in, did a great job. Never got credit for that. We got credit for the war and defeating ISIS and so many things, the great economy, the biggest tax cuts ever, the biggest regulation cuts ever, the creation of Space Force, the rebuilding of our military. We did so much. We did so much. Right to try. Right to try is a big deal. We got right to try. They were trying to get that for 52 years. Somebody's terminally ill. And hopefully there's nobody in this audience, but it does happen a lot. They're terminally ill and they can't use our new space age drugs and other things that we are way ahead. We have the greatest doctors in the world, the greatest laboratories in the world, and you can't do it. They've been trying to get that approved for 52 years. Wasn't that easy? The insurance companies didn't want to do it. They didn't want the risk. The labs didn't want to do it because if it didn't work, people are pretty far down the line toward death. They didn't want to do it. The doctors didn't want to have it on their records, so I got everybody into an office. 52 years they tried. Sounds simple, but it's not. And I got them to agree that somebody that needs it will, instead of going to Asia, Europe, or someplace, or if you have no money going home and dying, just die. We got them to sign an agreement, agree to it, where they're not going to sue anybody. They're going to get all of this stuff. They're going to get it really fast. And what's happened is we're saving thousands and thousands of lives. It's incredible. Right to try. It's a great feeling. Under our leadership, the United States will be respected again. No nation will question our power. No enemy will doubt our might. Our borders will be totally secure. Our economy will soar. We will return law and order to our streets, patriotism to our schools, and importantly, we will restore peace, stability, and harmony all throughout the world. But to achieve this future, we must first rescue our nation from failed and even incompetent leadership. We have totally incompetent leadership. This will be the most important election in the history of our country. Under the current administration, we are indeed a nation in decline. We have an inflation crisis that is making life unaffordable, ravaging the incomes of working and low-income families, and crushing, just simply crushing our people like never before. They've never seen anything like it. We also have an illegal immigration crisis, and it's taking place right now as we sit here in this beautiful arena. It's a massive invasion at our southern border that has spread misery, crime, poverty, disease, and destruction to communities all across our land. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Then there's an international crisis, the likes of which the world has seldom been part of. Nobody can believe what's happening. War is now raging in Europe and the Middle East. A growing specter of conflict hangs over Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, and all of Asia. And our planet is teetering on the edge of World War III. And this will be a war like no other war because of weaponry. The weapons are no longer army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. These weapons are obliteration. It's time for a change. This administration can't come close to solving the problems. We're dealing with very tough, very fierce people. They're fierce people. And we don't have fierce people. We have people that are a lot less than fierce, except when it comes to cheating on elections and a couple of other things. Then they're fierce. Then they're fierce. So tonight, I make this pledge to the great people of America. I will end the devastating inflation crisis immediately, bring down interest rates, and lower the cost of energy. We will drill, baby, drill. Can you believe what they're doing? But by doing that, we will lead a large-scale decline in prices. Prices will start to come down. Energy raised it. They took our energy policies and destroyed them. Then they immediately went back to them, but by that time, so much was lost. But we will do it at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And we'll end lots of different things. We'll start paying off debt and start lowering taxes even further. We gave you the largest tax cut. We'll do it more. You know, people don't realize I brought taxes way down, way down, and yet we took in more revenues the following year than we did when the tax rate was much higher. Most people said, how did you do that? Because it was incentive. Everybody was coming to the country. They were bringing back billions and billions of dollars into our country. The companies made it impossible to bring it back. The tax rate was too high, and the legal complications were far too great. I changed both of them, and hundreds of billions of dollars by Apple and so many other companies were brought back into our nation, and we had an economy the likes of which no nation had ever seen. China, we were beating them at levels that were incredible. And they know it. They know it. We'll do it again, but we'll do it even better. I will end the illegal immigration crisis by closing our border and finishing the wall, most of which I've already built. On the wall, we were dealing with a very difficult Congress. And I said, oh, that's okay. We won't go to Congress. I call it an invasion. We gave our military almost $800 billion. I said, I'm going to take a little of that money because this is an invasion. And we built, most of the wall is already built. And we built it through using the funds because what's better than that? We have to stop the invasion into our country that's killing hundreds of thousands of people a year. We're not going to let that happen. I will end every single international crisis that the current administration has created, including the horrible war with Russia and Ukraine, which would have never happened if I was president, and the war caused by the attack on Israel, which would have never happened if I was president. Iran was broke. Iran had no money. Now Iran has $250 billion. They made it all over the last 2.5 years. They were broke. I watched the other day on a show called Deface the Nation. Has anyone seen it? And they had a congressman who was a Democrat say, well, whether you like him or not, Iran was broke dealing with Trump. I told China and other countries, if you buy from Iran, we will not let you do any business in this country, and we will put tariffs on every product you do send in of 100% or more. And they said to me, well, I think that's about it. They weren't going to buy any oil. And they were ready to make a deal. Iran was going to make a deal with us. And then we had that horrible, horrible result that we'll never let happen again. The election result, we're never going to let that happen again. They used COVID to cheat. We're never going to let it happen again. And they took off all the sanctions and they did everything possible for Iran. And now Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon, which would have never happened. This is a shame what this administration, the damage that this administration has done. And I say it often, if you took the 10 worst presidents in the history of the United States, think of it, the 10 worst, added them up, they will not have done the damage that Biden has done. Only going to use the term once. Biden, I'm not going to use the name anymore, just one time. The damage that he's done to this country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. Together we will restore vision, strength, competence, and we're going to have a thing called common sense making most of our decisions, actually. It's all common sense. Just a few short years ago, under my presidency, we had the most secure border and best economy in the history of our country, in the history of the world. We had the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had never done anything like it. We were beating every country, including China, by leaps and bounds. Nobody had seen anything like it. We had no inflation. Soaring incomes were going. Nobody can believe it. You can't believe what happened 4 years ago is happening now in reverse. And the world was at peace. Inflation has been a killer for our country. No matter what you make it, it doesn't matter because inflation is eating you alive. People that were putting away money, they were making great wages, the highest they've ever made, but they were putting away a lot of money. Now they are just being destroyed. They're not putting away anything. They're barely living. They're going into savings accounts. They're taking out their money to live because of inflation. Inflation, remember, it's called a country buster. You can go back to Germany from 100 years ago. You can go back to any country that suffered great inflation. We've suffered the worst inflation we've ever had. But go back and see what's happened to those countries. We've had the worst inflation we've ever had under this person. But in less than 4 years, our opponents have turned incredible success into unparalleled tragedy and failure. It's been a tremendous failure. Today, our cities are flooded with illegal aliens. Americans are being squeezed out of the labor force and their jobs are taken. By the way, you know who's taking the jobs that are created? 107% of those jobs are taken by illegal aliens. And you know who's being hurt the most by millions of people pouring into our country? The black population and the Hispanic population, because they're taking the jobs from our black population, our Hispanic population, and they're also taking them from unions. The unions are suffering because of it. Thank you. Thank you. I like you too. Thank you very much. Inflation has wiped out the life savings of our citizens and forced the middle class into a state of depression and despair. That's what it is. It's despair and depression. We cannot and will not let this continue. Less than 4 years ago, we were a great nation, and we will soon be a great nation again. We're going to be a great nation again. Thank you. With proper leadership, every disaster we are now enduring will be fixed, and it will be fixed very, very quickly. So tonight, whether you've supported me in the past or not, I hope you will support me in the future, because I will bring back the American dream. That's what we're going to do. You don't even hear about the American dream anymore. With great humility, I am asking you to be excited about the future of our country. Be excited. Be excited. And by the way, the news reports, oh, look at all of those big networks. Look at them. They're all here. But every one of them has said this could be the most organized, best run, and most enthusiastic convention of either party that they've ever seen. Every single one. And it's true. It's true. And there's love in the room. There's great love in the room. So I better finish strong. Otherwise, we'll blow it. And we can't let that happen. Now, this was great. All of the great people that spoke, and everybody hit a home run. I mean, there's not one that I can think of where I said, oh, gee, that wasn't great. Every single person. I refuse to be the only one. Don't do that to me. They're already getting ready. See, I gave them an idea. Now, this was a great convention. This was, I think we're actually going to go home and miss it. You know, usually with a first of all, look at these crowds. You'd never have this at a convention. Look at these crowds. Love. It's about love. This week, the entire Republican Party has formally adopted an agenda for America's renewal, and you saw that agenda, and it's very short compared to the long, boring, meaningless agendas of the past, including the Democrats. They write these things that are hundreds of pages long, and they never read them after they're done. In their case, fortunately, they don't read them because they're pretty bad. It's a series of bold promises that we will swiftly implement when you give us a Republican House. And Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. We have our great Speaker of the House with us tonight. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Thank you. A Republican Senate, we have many senators here. And send me back to our beautiful White House just a few short months from now. We're talking about just months. It can't come fast enough. We have to get it done. First, we must get economic relief to our citizens. Starting on day one, we will drive down prices and make America affordable again. We have to make it affordable. It's not affordable. People can't live like this. Under this administration, our current administration, groceries are up 57%, gasoline is up 60 and 70%, mortgage rates have quadrupled. And the fact is, it doesn't matter what they are because you can't get the money anyway. You can't buy houses. Young people can't get any financing to buy a house. The total household costs have increased an average of $28,000 per family under this administration. Republicans have a plan to bring down prices and bring them down very, very rapidly. By slashing energy costs, we will in turn reduce the cost of transportation, manufacturing, and all household goods. So much starts with energy. And remember, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any other country by far. We are a nation that has the opportunity to make an absolute fortune with its energy. We have it, and China doesn't. Under the Trump administration, just 3.5 years ago, we were energy independent, but soon we will actually be better than that. We will be energy dominant and supply not only ourselves, but we will supply the rest of the world with numbers that nobody has ever seen, and we will reduce our debt $36 trillion. We will start reducing that, and we will also reduce your taxes still further. Next, and by the way, they want to raise your taxes 4 times. Think of it. And all my life, I grew up watching politicians. I always loved politics. I guess I was on the other side. I'd watch and they were always talking about, we will give you a tax cut. We will give you a tax cut. My whole life, I was watching, I will give you a tax cut, right, Mr. Congressman? That's all they talked about. This is the only administration that said, we're going to raise your taxes by 4 times what you're paying now, and people are supposed to vote for them? I've never heard it. You're paying too much. We're going to reduce your taxes still further. We gave you the biggest one, as I said. We're going to give you more, and it's going to lead to tremendous growth. We want growth in our country. That's what's going to pay off our debt. And next, we will end the ridiculous and actually incredible waste of taxpayer dollars that is fueling the inflation crisis. They've spent trillions of dollars on things having to do with the Green New Scam. It's a scam. And that's caused tremendous inflationary pressures in addition to the cost of energy. And all of the trillions of dollars that are sitting there not yet spent, we will redirect that money for important projects like roads, bridges, dams, and we will not allow it to be spent on meaningless Green New Scam ideas. And I will end the electric vehicle mandate on day 1. Thereby saving the U.S. auto industry from complete obliteration, which is happening right now, and saving U.S. customers thousands and thousands of dollars per car. And right now, as we speak, large factories just started are being built across the border in Mexico. So with all the other things happening on our border, and they're being built by China to make cars and to sell them into our country. No tax, no anything. The United Auto Workers ought to be ashamed for allowing this to happen. And the leader of the United Auto Workers should be fired immediately. And every single auto worker, union and non-union, should be voting for Donald Trump, because we're going to bring back car manufacturing, and we're going to bring it back fast. They're building some of the largest auto plants anywhere in the world. Think of it, in the world. We're going to bring it back. We're going to make them. We don't mind that happening, but those plants are going to be built in the United States, and our people are going to man those plants. And if they don't agree with us, we'll put a tariff of approximately 100 to 200% on each car, and they will be unsellable in the United States. We have long been taken advantage of by other countries. And think of it, oftentimes these other countries are considered so-called allies. They've taken advantage of us for years. We lose jobs, we lose revenue, and they gain everything and wipe out our businesses, wipe out our people. I stopped it for 4 years. I stopped it. And we're really ready to make changes like nobody had seen before. And remember, USMCA, I got rid of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with USMCA, which is, they say, the best trade deal ever made. Actually, probably the best trade deal was the deal I made with China, where they buy $50 billion worth of our product. They were buying nothing. They buy $50 billion worth. They had to. But I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even mention it, frankly, because of what happened with the China virus. We will not let countries come in, take our jobs, and plunder our nation. They come and do that. They plunder our nation. The way they will sell their product in America is to build it in America. Very simple. Build it in America and only in America. And this very simple formula, and Congress has to go along with us, and they will. This very simple formula will create massive numbers of jobs. We will take over the auto industry again, and many, many hundreds of thousands of jobs. We lost so many jobs over the years. If you go back 20, 25 years, they've stolen, going to China and Mexico, about 68% of our auto industry manufacturing jobs. We're going to get them all back. We're going to get them all back, every one of them. At the center of our plan for economic relief are massive tax cuts for workers that include something else that's turned out to be very popular, actually. Here it's very popular in this building and all those hotels that I saw that are so nice. I'm staying in a nice one. It's called no tax on tips. No tax on tips. No tax on tips. I got that by having dinner recently in Nevada, where we're leading by about 14 points. Hello. I'll see you there very soon, everybody. And we're having dinner at a beautiful restaurant in the Trump building on the Strip. And it's a great building. And the waitress comes over. How's everything going? A really nice person. How's everything? Oh, sir, it's so tough. The government's after me all the time on tips, tips, tips. I said, well, they give you cash. Would they be able to find him? She said, actually, and I didn't know this. She said, very little cash is given. It's all put right on the check. And they come in and they take so much of our money. It's just ridiculous. And they don't believe anything we say. And they've just hired, as you know, 88,000 agents to go after them even more. And I said, this shows the level of my, most people go out, they hire consultants, they pay them millions of dollars. But I said to her, let me just ask you a question. Would you be happy if you had no tax on tips? She said, what a great idea. I got my information from a very smart waitress. That's better than spending millions of dollars. And everybody loves it. Waitresses and caddies and drivers and everybody's a large group of people that are being really hurt badly. They make money, let them keep their money. I'm going to protect Social Security and Medicare. Democrats are going to destroy Social Security and Medicare because all of these people, by the millions they're coming in, they're going to be on Social Security and Medicare and other things, and you're not able to afford it. They are destroying your Social Security and your Medicare. Under my plan, incomes will skyrocket, inflation will vanish completely, jobs will come roaring back, and the middle class will prosper like never, ever before, and we're going to do it very rapidly. But no hope or dream we have for America can succeed unless we stop the illegal immigrant invasion, the worst that's ever been seen anywhere in the world. There's never been an invasion like this anywhere. Third world countries would fight with sticks and stones not to let this happen. The invasion at our southern border, we will stop it, and we will stop it quickly. You heard Tom Homan yesterday. Tom Homan, put him in charge and just sit back and watch. Brandon Judd, the Border Patrol, he's incredible. These guys, they really, their job is a lot easier if they don't have to do anything, but they want to. They're patriots. Brandon Judd, Border Patrol, ICE. ICE goes out. You have to see what ICE does with MS-13. You have these are probably the worst gang, and ICE goes in there. And I know a lot of people in these rows here, and they're very tough people, but they don't want to do this job. They'll go into a pack of MS-13 killers. They're the worst, probably the worst gangs in the world. We have thousands of them. I moved thousands and thousands out in my 4 years. We moved them out, and it was a pleasure. But ICE would go right into a pack of these killers, and you see fists flying, you see everything flying, and then they take them. They put them in a paddy wagon. They take them back, and they get them out of our country. And the other countries weren't accepting them back, and I called up, and I said, tell them that we're not giving them economic aid anymore. And the next day, I got calls from all of these countries that were terminated. Billions of dollars we spend on economic aid to countries that does us, frankly, no good. And the next day I was called by everybody. I couldn't take all the calls. Sir, what's the problem? I said, you won't take your killers back that you sent in caravans into America. You won't take them back. Well, sir, if you'd like us to, we would give very serious consideration to doing that. And within 24 hours, they were being taken back. For years and years, when I first came in, they said President Obama tried to get him to go back, and they wouldn't accept him. They'd put planes on the runway so you couldn't leave the plane. They'd close the road so you couldn't take the buses. They'd all have to turn back. As soon as I said no more economic aid of any kind to any country that does that, they called back and they said, sir, it would be our great honor to take MS-13. We love them very much. We love them very much, sir. We'll take them back. At the heart of the Republican platform is our pledge to end this border nightmare and fully restore the sacred and sovereign borders of the United States of America. And we're going to do that on day one. That means two things on day one, right? Drill, baby, drill, and close our borders. And by the way, and I think everybody as a Republican, as a patriot in this room, and most Democrats, we want people to come into our country, but they have to come into our country legally. Legally. Less than 4 years ago, I handed this administration the strongest border in American history. But you can see on the chart that saved my life, that was the chart that saved my life. I said, look it, I'm so proud of it. I think it's one of the greatest. It was done by the Border Patrol, one of the greatest charts I've ever seen. It showed everything just like that. You know the chart. Oh, there it is. That's pretty good. Wow. Last time I put up that chart, I never really got to look at it. But without that chart, I would not be here today. Never got to look at it. I said, you got to see this chart. I was so proud of it. And by the time I got to there, I never got to see it that day. But I'm seeing it now, and I was very proud. And if you look at the arrow on the bottom, that's the lowest level, the one on the bottom, heavy red arrow. That's the lowest level of illegal immigrants ever to come into our country in recorded history, right there. Right there. And that was my last week in office. And then you see what happened after I left. Look at the rest. And if you go out a little bit further, it's getting to be a little bit old, but I love it anyway, right? But you can go much higher with those numbers. Look what happened right after that. The invasion began. We had the opposite. We stopped the invasion, but the invasion that we stopped was peanuts by comparison to what happened after I left. Look at what happened after I left. They took over our country. We ended all catch and release. We shut down asylum fraud. We stopped human trafficking and forged historic agreements to keep illegal aliens on foreign soil. We want them to stay on their soil. Under the Trump administration, if you came in illegally, you were apprehended immediately and you were deported. You went right back. The current administration terminated every single one of those great Trump policies that I put in place to seal the border. I wanted a sealed border. Again, come in, but come in legally. You know how unfair it is? So many people, hundreds of thousands of people, have been working for years to come into our country. And now they see these people pour into our country at levels that are unprecedented. It's so unfair. And we're not going to do it. We're not going to stand for it. They suspended wall construction, ended remain in Mexico. We had a policy, remain in Mexico. You think that was easy to get from the Mexican government? But I said, you must give it to us. If you don't give it to us, there will be repercussions. And they gave it to us, but not easy. Canceled our Safe Third agreements. demolished Title 42, implemented nationwide catch and release. That's catch and release, where we catch them and release them into our country. We catch them and release them into Mexico. There's a slight difference. And took 93, this is the previous administration, 93 executive actions to throw open our border to the world. The entire world is pouring into our country because of this very foolish administration. The greatest invasion in history is taking place right here in our country. They are coming in from every corner of the earth, not just from South America, but from Africa, Asia, the Middle East. They're coming from everywhere. They're coming at levels that we've never seen before. It is an invasion indeed, and this administration does absolutely nothing to stop them. They're coming from prisons. They're coming from jails. They're coming from mental institutions and insane asylums. The press is always on me because I say this. Has anyone seen Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He'd love to have you for dinner. That's insane asylums. They're emptying out their insane asylums. And terrorists are coming in at numbers that we've never seen before. Bad things are going to happen. Meanwhile, our crime rate is going up, while crime statistics all over the world are going down, because they're taking their criminals and they're putting them into our country. A certain country, and I happen to like the president of that country very much, but he's been getting great publicity because he's the wonderful shepherd of the country. He says how well the country's doing because their crime rate is down. And he said he's training all of these rough people. They're rough. He's training them. And I've been reading about this for 2 years. I think, oh, that's wonderful. Let's take a look at it. But then I realized he's not training them. He's sending all of his criminals, his drug dealers, his people that are in jails, he's sending them all to the United States. And he's different in that he doesn't say that. He's trying to convince everybody what a wonderful job he does in running the country. Well, he doesn't do a wonderful job. And by the way, if I ran one of the countries, many countries from all over, I would be worse than any of them. I would have had the place totally emptied out already. But we become a dumping ground for the rest of the world, which is laughing at us. They think we're stupid. And they can't believe that they're getting away with what they're getting away with, but they're not going to be getting away with it for long. That's what I can tell you. In Venezuela, Caracas, high crime. Caracas, Venezuela, really a dangerous place, but not anymore. Because in Venezuela, crime is down 72%. In fact, if they would ever win this election, I hate to even say that, we will have our next Republican convention in Venezuela because it will be safe. Our cities will be so unsafe, we will not be able to have it there. In El Salvador, murders are down by 70%. Why are they down? Now, he would have you convinced that because he's trained murderers to be wonderful people. No. They're down because they're sending their murderers to the United States of America. This is going to be very bad. And bad things are going to happen, and you're seeing it happen all the time. That's why, to keep our families safe, the Republican platform promises to launch the largest deportation operation in the history of our country. Even larger than that of President Dwight D. Eisenhower from many years ago. You know, he was a moderate, but he believed very strongly in borders. He had the largest deportation operation we've ever had. Just recently, I spoke to the grieving mother of Jocelyn Nungary, a wonderful woman, a precious 12-year-old girl from Houston who last month was tied up, assaulted, and strangled to death after walking to the convenience store just a block away from her house. Her body was dumped near the side of the road in a shallow creek, found by some onlookers who couldn't believe what they had witnessed. charged with Jocelyn's heinous murder are 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela who came across our border, were in custody, and were then released into the country by this horrible, horrible administration that we have right now. I also met recently with the heartbroken mother and sister of Rachel Morin. Rachel was a 37-year-old mom of 5 beautiful children who was brutally raped and murdered while out on a run. She wanted to keep herself in good shape. It was very important to her. She was murdered. The monster responsible first killed another woman in El Salvador before he was led into America by the White House. This White House let them in. He then attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother in a home invasion in Los Angeles before murdering Rachel in Maryland. Traveled all throughout the country, doing tremendous damage. Rachel's mother will never be the same. I spent time with her. She will never be the same. I've also met with the wonderful family of Laken Riley, the brilliant 22-year-old nursing student. She was so proud of being first in her class, who was out for a jog on the campus of the University of Georgia when she was assaulted, beaten, and horrifically killed. Yet another American life was stolen by a criminal alien set free by this administration. And these were incredible people we're talking about. These were incredible people who died. Tonight, America, this is my vow. I will not let these killers and criminals into our country. I will keep our sons and daughters safe. As we bring security to our streets, we will help bring stability to the world. I was the first president in modern times to start no new wars. You know, we were the toughest. We were the most respected. And you saw this. Hungry, strong country run by very powerful, tough leaders. Tough guy. Press doesn't like him because he's tough. And he came out recently. They were asking him at an interview, the whole world is exploding. What's happening? What's going on? Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, very tough man. He said, I don't want people coming into my country and blowing up our shopping centers and killing people. But they said to him, tell us what's going wrong, what's happening, what is it? He said, there's only one way you're going to solve it. You got to bring President Trump back to the United States because he kept everybody at bay. True. He used a word I wouldn't use because I can't use that word, because you'd say it was braggadocious. The press would say he was a braggart. I'm not a braggart. But Viktor Orban said it. He said Russia was afraid of him. China was afraid of him. Everybody was afraid of him. Nothing was going to happen. The whole world was at peace. And now the world is blowing up around us. All of these things that you read about were not going to happen. Under President Bush, Russia invaded Georgia. Under President Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under the current administration, Russia is after all of Ukraine. Under President Trump, Russia took nothing. We defeated 100% of ISIS in Syria and Iraq, something that was said to take 5 years, sir. It'll take 5 years, sir. We did it in a matter of a couple of months. We have a great military. Our military is not woke. It's just some of the fools on top that are woke. I got along very well. North Korea, Kim Jong-un, I got along very well with him. The press hated when I said that. How could you get along with him? Well, you know, it's nice to get along with somebody who has a lot of nuclear weapons or otherwise, isn't it? See, in the old days, they'd say, that's a wonderful thing. Now they say, how could you possibly do that? But no, I got along with them, and we stopped the missile launches from North Korea. Now North Korea is acting up again, but When we get back, I get along with him. He'd like to see me back too. I think he misses me, if you want to know the truth. Our opponents inherited a world at peace and turned it into a planet of war. We're in a planet of war. Look at that attack on Israel. Look at what's happening with Ukraine. The cities are just bombed out. How can people live like that where buildings, massive buildings, are falling to the ground? It began to unravel with the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, the worst humiliation in the history of our country. We have never had a humiliation like that. 13 heroic U.S. service members were tragically and needlessly killed. 45 others were horrifically wounded. Nobody ever talks about them. No arms, no legs, face explosions, horrifically wounded. And by the way, we have a man in this room who's running for the U.S. Senate from a great state, Nevada, named Sam Brown, who paid the ultimate price. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. He paid the biggest price probably ever paid by anybody that is running for office, and I think he's going to do great. He's running against a person that is not good, not respected, a total lightweight. But Sam, I think, paid, really, we were talking about it with some of the senators that are working so hard for Sam, but he paid the biggest price of any senator ever to run for the Senate. I don't think anybody's ever what he did. He was a real hero, a really great person. And he's running, and I hope that everybody gets out and votes for Sam Brown. And we also left behind $85 billion worth of military equipment, along with many American citizens were left behind. Many American citizens, emboldened by that disaster. Russia invaded Ukraine. They saw this group of people that were incompetent. We took the soldiers out first. No, we're going to take the soldiers out second. If they would have followed my plan, we had a great plan. But the plan only kicked in if they did everything perfectly. And they weren't doing things perfectly. So we said it doesn't kick in. 18 months in Afghanistan, we didn't have one. So they were killing them left and right, snipers. And I spoke to the head of the Taliban. You've heard this story. Abdul, still there, still the head of the Taliban. The press got on me. Why would you speak to him? I said, because that's where the killing is. I don't have to speak to somebody that has nothing to do with it. And I told him, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that again. Don't ever do that again. You got to stop. Because during the Obama administration, many great people and soldiers, a lot of soldiers were being killed from long distance. I said, if you keep doing that, you're going to be hit harder than anybody's ever been hit by a country before. And he said, I understand, Your Excellency. He called me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls the other guy Your Excellency. I doubt it. The other guy gave him everything. I mean, what kind of a deal was that? He walked out, gave him everything. Do you know that right now Afghanistan is one of the largest sellers of weapons in the world? They're selling the brand new, beautiful weapons that we gave them. But think of it. He actually said to me, but why do you show me a picture of my home? I said, you'll have to ask your people or one of your wives. But he could figure it out. And for 18 months, we had not one attack on an American soldier by the Taliban. 18 months. And then we had that horrible day where soldiers were killed. I was not there because of a ridiculous election. But we had that horrible attack. And they also gave up Bagram, one of the biggest bases anywhere in the world, air bases anywhere in the world, the longest runways, most powerful, hardened, thickened runways. We gave it up. And I liked it, not because of Afghanistan. I liked it because of China. It's 1 hour away from where China makes their nuclear weapons. And you know who has it now? China has it now. We were keeping that. And now China is likewise circling Taiwan, and Russian warships and nuclear submarines are operating 60 miles off the coast in Cuba. Do you know that? No, the press refuses to write about it. If that were me running this country and we had nuclear submarines in Cuba, I will tell you that the headlines every day would be, what's wrong with our president? You don't even hear this. You're not hearing about this. Russia has nuclear submarines and warships 60 miles away, Mr. Congressman, from Miami, by the way, happens to be here. Correct? In Cuba. And that would not be stood for if it were somebody else. They don't want to mention it, but now maybe they will. And the entire world, I tell you this, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office, or you will be paying a very big price. With our victory in November, the years of war, weakness, and chaos will be over. I don't have wars. I had no wars other than ISIS, which I defeated, but that was a war that was started. We had no wars. I could stop wars with a telephone call. I could stop wars with just a telephone call. If properly stated, it would never start. We will replenish our military and build an Iron Dome missile defense system to ensure that no enemy can strike our homeland. And this great Iron Dome will be built entirely in the USA. We're going to build it in the USA. And Wisconsin, just like I gave you that massive ship contract, and you're doing a very nice job, Governor, right? Thank you, Governor. And they're doing a great job. In fact, I had a little design change, and we gave them a tremendous for essentially what we used to call destroyers. These are now the most beautiful. They look like yachts. I said, we have to take the bow and we have to make it a little nicer and a little point at the top instead of a flat nose. And the people at the shipyard said, this guy sort of knows what he's doing. We have most beautiful ships, right, Governor? And everybody's sitting over there. And it was a big contract that everybody wanted. I gave it to Wisconsin, but we're going to have a lot of that built right here in the state of Wisconsin and all other states. Israel has an Iron Dome. They have a missile defense system. 342 missiles were shot into Israel, and only one got through a little bit. It was badly wounded. It fell to the ground, but most of them are. And Ronald Reagan wanted this many years ago, but we really didn't have the technology many years ago. Remember, they called it Starship, spaceship, anything to mock him. But he was a very good president, very, very good. But now we have unbelievable technology. And why should other countries have this and we don't? No, we're going to build an Iron Dome over our country, and we're going to be sure that nothing can come and harm our people. And again, from an economic development standpoint, we're going to make it all right here. No more sending it out to other countries in order to help. It's America first. America first. We will unleash the power of American innovation. And as we do, we will soon be on the verge of finding the cures to cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and many other diseases. We're going to get to the bottom of it. You remember this gentleman that I don't want to mention other than one time I had to, because when you say you're the 10 worst, I had to do it. I didn't want anybody to be confused. But this man said, we're going to find a cure to cancer. Nothing happened. We're going to get to the cure for cancer and Alzheimer's and so many other things. We're so close to doing something great. But we need a leader that will let it be done. We will not have men playing in women's sports. That will end immediately. And we will restore and renovate our nation's once great cities, making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. And that includes our nation's capital, which is a horrible killing field. So many things. They leave from Wisconsin. They go to look at the Washington Monument. They end up getting stabbed, killed, or shot. We will be very soon very proud of our capital, again, Washington, D.C. America is on the cusp of a new golden age, but we will have the courage to seize it. We're going to take it. We're going to make it a current. We're going to bring this into a golden age like never seen before. Remember this, China wants to do it. Japan wants to do it. All of these countries want to do it. We have to produce massive amounts of energy if we're going to produce the new. If you look at some of the things that have been done, and some of the things that we're going to do. But AI needs literally twice the electricity that's available now in our country. Can you imagine? But instead, we're spending places where they recharge electric cars. They built 8 chargers at a certain location toward the Midwest. 8 chargers for $9 billion. Think of them as a tank for filling up your gas. Think of it. They spent $9 billion on 8 chargers, 3 of which didn't work. And if you were going to do this all over our country, this crazy electric mandate, if you're going to do this, and by the way, I'm all for electric. They have their application. But if somebody wants to buy a gas-powered car, gasoline-powered car, or a hybrid, they're going to be able to do it. And we're going to make that change on day 1. So to conclude, just a few short days ago, my journey with you nearly ended. We know that. And yet, here we are tonight, all gathered together, talking about the future, promise, and a total renewal of a thing we love very much. It's called America. We live in a world of miracles. None of us knows God's plan or where life's adventure will take us. I want to thank Franklin Graham for being here tonight. He's an outstanding man. He wrote me a note recently. I have a lot of respect for him. Sir, I love your storytelling. I think it's great in front of these big rallies. But sir, please do me one favor. It won't make any difference. Please don't use any foul language. I was a little embarrassed. He said, it won't make any difference. Actually, it does. The story's not quite as good, but I've been very good. The story is not quite as good, to be honest. I've got to have a little talk with Franklin, but he was great. He's a great gentleman. His father was so incredible, Billy Graham. My father used to love taking me to see Billy Graham. My father would take me to see Billy Graham at Yankee Stadium. He had the biggest rallies you've ever seen. He was a good rally guy, too. But he'd get up, and he was a fantastic guy. My father loved Billy Graham. But I love Franklin Graham. I think Franklin's been fantastic. And I'm working so hard to adhere to his note to me. I'm working hard on it, Franklin. But if the events of last Saturday make anything clear, it is that every single moment we have on earth is a gift from God. We have to make the most of every day for the people and for the country that we love. The attacker in Pennsylvania wanted to stop our movement, but the truth is the movement has never been about me. It has always been about you. It's your movement. It's the biggest movement in the history of our country by far. Can't be stopped. It can't be stopped. It has always been about the hardworking, patriotic citizens of America. For too long, our nation has settled for too little. We settled for too little. We've given everything to other nations, to other people. You have been told to lower your expectations and to accept less for your families. I am here tonight with the opposite message. Your expectations are not big enough. Not big enough. It is time to start expecting and demanding the best leadership in the world, leadership that is bold, dynamic, relentless, and fearless. We can do that. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. But as long as our energies are spent fighting each other, our destiny will remain out of reach, and that's not acceptable. We must instead take that energy and use it to realize our country's true potential and write our own thrilling chapter of the American story. We can do it together. We will unite. We are going to come together, and success will bring us together. It is a story of love, sacrifice, and so many other things. And remember the word devotion. It's unmatched devotion. Our American ancestors crossed the Delaware, survived the icy winter at Valley Forge, and defeated a mighty empire to establish our cherished republic. They fought so hard, they lost so many. They pushed thousands and thousands of miles across a dangerous frontier, taming the wilderness to build a life and a magnificent home for their family. They packed their families into covered wagons, trekked across hazardous trails, scaled towering mountains, and braved rivers and rapids to stake their claim on the wide open, new, and very beautiful frontier. When our way of life was threatened, American patriots marched onto the battlefield, raced into enemy strongholds, and stared down death and stared down those enemies to keep alive the flame of freedom. At Yorktown, Gettysburg, and Midway, they joined the roll call of immortal heroes. So many heroes, so many great, great people. And we have to cherish those people. We can't forget those people. We have to cherish those people. And building monuments to those great people is a good thing, not a bad thing. They saved our country. No challenge was too much. No hardship was too great. No enemy was too fierce. Together, these patriots soldiered on and endured, and they prevailed because they had faith in each other, faith in their country, and above all, they had faith in their God. Just like our ancestors, we must now come together, rise above past differences. Any disagreements have to be put aside and go forward, united as one people, one nation, pledging allegiance to one great, beautiful, I think it's so beautiful, American flag. Tonight I ask for your partnership, for your support, and I am humbly asking for your vote. I want your vote. Going to make our country great again. Every day I will strive to honor the trust you have placed in me, and I will never, ever let you down. I promise that. I will never let you down. To all of the forgotten men and women who have been neglected, abandoned, and left behind, you will be forgotten no longer. We will press forward, and together we will win, win, win. Win, 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 win. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. No matter what dangers come our way, no matter what obstacles lie in our path, we will keep striving toward our shared and glorious destiny, and we will not fail. We will not fail. Together, we will save this country. We will restore the republic, and we will usher in the rich and wonderful tomorrows that our people so truly deserve. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. And quite simply put, we will very quickly make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Wisconsin. God bless you. God bless you, Wisconsin, and God bless the United States of America, our great country. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Lean on me when times are bad. When they come and you're down in a river of trouble, about to drown. Oh, I'm coming. Oh, I'm coming. Oh, I'm coming. Hold on. I'm coming. On my way. No lover. When you get cold.
Hey, welcome everybody. David Snedeker here, just having a little watch party for this historic speech by Donald John Trump. What a moment! You know, so many things to say about it. It's, you know, when you break it down, it's a pretty basic speech that he's given many times before. But it's, by the way, how am I sounding? I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit more. But some of the most basic speeches in certainly American history were phenomenal. You know, the Gettysburg Address, speeches by Kennedy, speeches by Reagan. As a young man, as a high school student in Springfield, Illinois, I saw Ronald Reagan speak at the Illinois State Fairgrounds, and it was quite memorable. And yet, you know, it was something probably very similar to this. Some humor, some touching moments, certainly with the people that were injured along with him at the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, but also the gentleman that died, and the memorial to him was quite touching. This is interesting. I believe that this may be the song that I've shared on my my X account, and that is let me see here a second. It's by Wyatt, Austere Wyatt, One. The classic opera piece Nessun Dorma will be played tonight at the RNC, the night of Trump's speech. Nessun Dorma translates as None Shall Sleep. It is also the song that plays at the end of The Sum of All Fears when all the deep state actors are executed for their plot to start World War III. Thank you, Wyatt, for that. That's what we're looking for. You know, I was thinking about this today, and there are many. I'll wait. Wow. Deke 7617, thank you. Dave, I've been with you 5+ years and I will not sleep. Beautiful. Beautiful lady. Thank you. Thank you for that. And welcome. Good to see you. Says it all. None will sleep. Thank you. Yeah, I've been inspired with everything that's happening. Come on, pretty much every day. Wow. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. You know, basically at this point, it's a party, right? The president, 45 through 47. And there are different levels of people that we can talk to. There are people that go along with the narrative of the shooting from Saturday. And then there are people that challenge that narrative to one level, and then there's people that challenge that narrative to another level, and then people that challenge the whole narrative. And what's so important, Melania, my God, just does she age? I mean, she's just absolutely gorgeous. And it's not like she's doing this plastic surgery that is, you know, like Guilfoyle. I have a tough time with her, the work she's had done. God bless her. I mean, I don't mean to criticize, but I just, I love natural woman and a woman that grows old gracefully, just like a man grows old gracefully. Because I think wrinkles and is a map of our life. Scars, moles, bumps, bruises, tells the story of our life. And yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous. And what a life that she's leading. Can you imagine being in that spotlight and being attacked at the level that the Trumps are attacked? It's really unconscionable what we've allowed the mainstream media to do to Trump and to his family. He spoke of the subpoenas that Eric and Don have received as because they're his sons. And thank God Barron was not of age. Otherwise, they probably would have gone after him as well. But and there's his grandkids just running around. What a cool experience for them. And I caught a little bit of his granddaughter's speech. I thought she was quite lovely, carried herself quite well. By the way, we've got a little over 1,100 joining us. I'm sorry, 1,200, a little over 1,200 joining us tonight. For those of you, you could have watched this with, a lot of different people, and I'm glad you decided to join me. I want to give a shout out to RSBN for sharing this and for not blocking my rebroadcast. Please support RSBN when you have the opportunity. It's people like RSBN and people like myself and so many others that we need to start to shift where our money goes. Where our money goes is so very important to understand that we've been financing our demise for this our entire lives. Whether it be, certainly people have stopped Netflix subscriptions. I think I was single-handedly stopped about 2000 when Cuties came out. And a lot of people said goodbye to Netflix. I think that's a very, very good move. I also think that, Amazon, Apple TV, Disney, plus all these streaming services, if you have any of those, please understand that we're financing the very people that are grooming our children and, creating woke programming that is, meant to condition us into a false sense of reality and into guilt. Thank you, Deke. And so we find ourselves in this place where we are at the precipice of the end of all that. And I'm going to be a part of that. One of the things I'm going to do is a late night show like this with, basically to replace the Tonight Show. I did a live show, which you see here. I did that in Buda, Texas, at an underground speakeasy a year ago, 2 nights ago. And I'm going to do more of that live programming. And I think I moved my desk over when I was doing some stuff. So I'm kind of blocking it a little bit, but but to replace this late night television is a must. To replace Hollywood is a must. I'm also going to do my share of that very soon. I'm going to announce I'm going to screen my romantic comedy called If You Only Knew. And I'm going to screen that possibly. Let me see. I got to make a decision on it, but keep a lookout on it. And please hit your notifications on X at DaveSnedeker, and also at The Indoctrination on Rumble, please. I'm going to show you that right there. This is my channel on Rumble, and you can go up here to the bell notification and get that bell, and then you'll be notified when I go live. Also, if you want to support me on Rumble, you can do a Rumble rant down here. You click this $, and you can put in a dollar amount. And then you can select rant, and then your whatever you'd like to say to me will go up to the top here and be memorialized there. And so let me get off of this because that's making everybody dizzy. So at any rate, I'm going to do a separate channel, I believe on Rumble, where I'm going to have my movies, and I want to continue to show what's going on here. I didn't mean to take that off permanently. What a beautiful family, by the way. And if Donald Trump were, nothing other than the father of these young men and young ladies, and a grandfather to these children, he's a rich man. He's a good man, and can you imagine the kind of stress he is under, the kind of pressure he is under when they're coming after him all the time to try to make him look bad, to try to make him less than the man that he is. I've experienced a little bit of that, being attacked, and it's not fun. And the bottom line is that you have to go to a place, and it happened too, by the way, when the first time I was attacked wasn't being in this industry, but when I was playing basketball at high school, college, pro, and whether it be the other team, the guy I'm guarding, the fans trying to throw you off your game, dirty play, whatever, tripping, hitting, elbowing, and I've played, countless hours where people have tried to do that. And it's when I finally gave up basketball, I must say I was a little bit more at peace because I didn't have people constantly coming at me every time I stepped on the court to get some exercise. Because when you're the best player on the court, which I was most of the time, certainly in a lot of situations, there were a lot of times when I wasn't the best on the court. There were plenty of those. Trust me, I'm not overstating my abilities. There were many, many times where that was the case. But for the most part, they always come after the best player. and they always try to take out the best player. I'll give you one example. I was in Istanbul playing professionally for Eczacıbaşı, which was the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in Europe. At the time, I think they were bigger than like the Pfizers and so forth, because they had a monopoly in Turkey, and so they were able to do things other companies were not. So I played for them, and it's kind of ironic because you're not going to find many people who have spent more hours than I have challenging, going up against these pharmaceutical companies. But at any rate, we were playing in a town called Manisa, down on the Asian coast, and in inland a little bit. And I was walking around. We were going to be playing that night. It was a lower level team. It was almost like the Boston Celtics playing, maybe Boston University or something like that, right? Boston University's got nothing to lose. They're going to try to beat them, and the Celtics are kind of like, yeah, we can beat these guys with our eyes closed, but we're gonna have some fun and get a workout. So we were playing them that night, and I was walking around town with some of my teammates, and at this point, I had learned some Turkish because I had to, and we come across this big statue, and it was called Manisa Tarzani, and the story goes that when the people would come and raid the town or get out of hand, they would call out to Manisa Tarzani to come down and kick some ass. And so they called him Manisa Tarzani, and he was a badass. And so later that night, we play the game, and these guys never see Americans. This was a town where I also saw women walking 10 paces behind their man, dressed like ninjas. And they and so it was very interesting, to say the least. So I'm playing in the game, and I'm getting cheap shotted every step of the way, and at one point I keep asking my manager to tell the referees or stop the game and talk to the other coach, but because it's just cheap shot after cheap shot. And I said, I'm going to get injured if this continues. And he didn't do anything. And so finally, I'm at one point, there's like a dead ball, and this guy just drops down and gives me an elbow right in the stomach. And I think I hit him, I don't know, 5-6 times, and before they broke it up, and he's on the floor. I get thrown out of the game. I get my manager, gets me in the locker room and is yelling at me. And I said, I asked you to do something, and I had to protect myself. And so at some point you kind of reach a breaking point in those moments, because you just say enough is enough, and I'm not gonna put up with this anymore. But up until then, because you get so many of those shots, I couldn't do that every time. I wouldn't have had a career, because I would be fighting every game. So you kind of get into this place where you look at those who are trying to take you down. And I'm gonna we can watch the end of this. I think this will be brief. Otherwise, it'll be anticlimactic.
To deliver this evening's benediction, please welcome Dr. Mario Dickens from Milwaukee.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank God for being here and granting me this opportunity to address the Republican National Convention 2024. I'm staying on script, but I got to say one thing. Just
Thank you,
4 hours
Kathy.
ago, my granddaughter was born. Ayana Leah Dickens. Yes, my granddaughter is here. I just wanted to welcome her into the world on this stage. One nation under God. Reflecting on the significance of this phrase is crucial in the days to come. The path we have traveled has not been easy, but it must be navigated with dignity and perseverance. The Holy Scriptures state that the peace of God surpasses all understanding. I pray for peace in this nation, peace on the campaign trail, peace on our streets, and peace in our homes. We extend prayers for Corey Comprator, who tragically lost his life in Saturday's assassination attempt, for the innocent bystanders injured, and for their grieving families. May the presence of God be with them. It is God who established governments, as explained in Romans 13, verse 1. And for that, we are grateful. My wife, Cherie, I love you. My parents and my children know that God is the ultimate answer. As you lead this Republican National Convention, do so with the confidence that he will guide your path and keep you in his grace. My hope is that we all find joy in the days to come and embrace leadership in the up-and-coming elections that will guide the next 4 years with wisdom and peace. So please stand with me as I end this prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Jesus' name we pray. God, we give you the honor, the praise, and the glory. Hallelujah. President Trump, Senator Vance, may God lead you and guide you. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
The chair now recognizes the delegate from the state of Wisconsin for the purpose of making a motion.
Chairman Mike Wadley, thank you so much for bringing this convention to the greatest state in America, Wisconsin, a great city of Milwaukee. It's been a great convention. I, Tommy Thompson, former governor of Wisconsin, along with my good friend, Governor Scott Walker, and our chairman, Chairman Brian Schimming, the whole Republican delegation at this particular time wants to adjourn sine die the 2024 convention. Thank you, all of you, for coming. Drive safely home.
The question now occurs on the motion to adjourn the greatest Republican convention in history. Sine die. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed signify by saying no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Accordingly, the 2024 Republican National Convention stands adjourned sine die.
Well, hey, sorry, I had lowered the volume for the music, and then Hawk let me know that it was a little bit too low to hear a lot of that which was going on. We just hit 1,000 on X. Welcome everybody on X, and actually X, YouTube, and Facebook. We have. We only have 5 on Hawk's Facebook page, which I love because I'm glad that people are leaving Facebook because I think we do need to get away from that. We do need to get into X and into Rumble because they are allowing free speech, and we really need to start giving those who are supporting real free speech our eyes and our attention and our dollars. And so, let's see. Let me get to C. Cutler said, "So glad I've never subscribed to the ones that you mentioned. Great news about your new endeavors. A Sned since the steel. I prefer old-fashioned checks. Do you have a P.O. box, Dave?" C. Cutler, I do not, unfortunately, but I think I will be getting one. But in the meantime, the only way to really support me are the following ways. And if you have a credit card or a bank account, you can do that. And I all of my shows, as you all know, have been free. Over 1,150 shows for the past 5 years, and so I do appreciate your donations from time to time, and certainly also your. I wanted to give a special thank you to Irma Simons. I'm sorry, Irma Simons, I believe. Irma Simons. Thank you so much, Irma, for your donation today. And folks, if you care to donate, I want to share your name, or unless you would prefer not to. I get some donations on that are anonymous on Give, Send, Go. This is actually the wrong Give, Send, Go. I can still access that, but I am been using the DavidSned Give, Send, Go. But that other one will work as well. So at any rate, to finish that story, by the way, you kind of, to get through a lot of those moments. Sorry, to get through a lot of those moments where people are coming after you, you kind of have to take a stance of, oh my gosh, and I'm kind of blocking my basketball photo there, but you kind of have to take a stance of, don't let those people bother you, because the reason why they're trying to get under your skin, the reason why they're trying to goad you into action that does not benefit you, is because they are intimidated, or they fear you, or they are not as good as you. And so they must revert to those kind of tactics in order to truly have an opportunity to defeat you. And then when you, and that's one thing when you have to go up against an opponent. But a couple months later, my team was wanting to fold their program because it was costing them too much money, and the local stations weren't giving them any coverage because they stopped advertising with them. And so there was a lot of politics involved, but they had to stop a very storied program and career of this program. So their first job was to get rid of their biggest expense, and that was me. So they tried to fine me $15,000 for that technical foul. Fortunately, I had written my own contract, and that was they were not able to do that. That's a long story, but I tried to sue them, but they tied up my money in the bank in Turkey that they had introduced me to when I first got there, and got me an account with. So that was also the bank that the pharmaceutical company used, and I probably shouldn't have banked with them. So at any rate, that was a long story. But the point here is that if you look at Donald Trump and all of the arrows that have been slung his way, and now bullets slung his way, the reason and all the court cases and all that, the reason why they have to do that is because they are intimidated by him. They know that they cannot defeat him, and so they they have to do a low blow. They have to go after him in ways that are not legal, that are not natural, that are not okay. And so that's very, very unfortunate. But Trump and his whole family have had to experience that. And many Anons and many patriots, we have had to undergo the same. And that is why they've had to censor us. I've lost my Facebook accounts, my YouTube accounts, my Twitch accounts, my PayPal, Venmo, buy me a coffee. And this is, for me, that is very devastating for somebody who's, trying to at least sustain themselves by doing this, because what you all have asked me for is, will you do this full time? Will you come to us more often? And especially since I had to be taken off the battlefield for a while with some personal things going on. But this is what they've done to Trump. This is what they've done to a lot of us that have been over the target and have been trying to warn people about the jab, about the CV, about all this stuff, and every step of the way. And so this is what, to a lesser extent, it's very devastating to somebody like myself, just like it's devastating to somebody like Trump, but at a very different level. And they've stooped so far that they've literally tried to assassinate him. Now, whether or not you think it was a setup or whatever, that's all coming out, and that's coming out in real time. And by the way, nowhere is it coming out like it is on X, on Twitter. Twitter is phenomenal in this fight right now to expose what really went down with this whole thing. I know TikTok's doing some amazing stuff as well. I haven't been on Facebook in quite some time, but they've just been very, very, they've been very bad in the past, so I don't expect them to be very good. Nancy Lucas, thank you very much for your donation. Much, much appreciated. So, my friends, let me get to your comments. I wanted to get to them, and I actually saved a few. Somebody asked me, let me see if I can find it, what I think about Vance. And I talked a little bit about this in the past couple nights. And by the way, my friends, last night's show, first of all, the show after the assassination, I got a lot of great feedback from that, because we basically went down some thought experiments as to who and why and how, that were ahead of a lot of people on how they're looking at this whole thing. But also last night's show that I did with my friend Oliver Pollock. Cheers, everybody. And let's check our coat. Also, I'm not going to be on too long because it's very late, but just imagine you're coming in out of the cold into the warm Sned shed, and you've got all your indoctrination, preconceived notions, unconscious bias wrapped up in this big, heavy winter coat, and you don't want to be wearing it around all night, so you just take it off, check it at the coat check. It's safe there. You can grab it on your way out at any time. You get your claim ticket, and you come on in, grab a snack, drink, favorite person, favorite pet, favorite you, and let's download some info. So the question was, what do I think of Nance? So I've been talking about this a little bit. First of all, I was uninspired by the choice, as many of you were. And the caveat to that is I would have accepted nothing less than John F. Kennedy Jr. Because I believe in that, and I believe, and you know me, I haven't gone down that road. I haven't hung my coat on that whole situation. I've just talked about it, but I do believe he could be alive and he could be a part of Q, and so I want that, and because not just that I want to see him, but I want to see, just like you, I want to see a significant action taken that blows people's minds. And if we can do that, then we jump many bridges that we're waiting for people to cross over. And then we can go into the new earth, because now we are, we're together, we're awake, we're on the same page, because there are still people that, even after all the things that have been done against Trump, they still don't want to vote for him. And that is also why I wanted him, and I'm glad that he's having a conversation with Robert Kennedy Jr. Robert Kennedy Jr. needs to have a significant position in Donald Trump's cabinet, because, and I think Health and Human Services, because we have to undo the damage that has been done by the Faucis and the Burks and the Gates and the money. And that all has to be undone. And we have to get serious about the jab. And if you saw that phone call that I shared on the past shows from Trump to RFK Jr., Trump is well aware that it's too much of this, the childhood stuff going to them. So at any rate, and he's got about 9% of the electorate in some of the polls. So that would bring, because there are a lot of people that won't vote for Trump because of what was going on with CV. And so we, RFK could mend some of those fences. So I thought that that could be an option, but he also needs, wouldn't have been a good option as vice president, because he's too liberal for the MAGA movement. And so, but at any rate, Vance, great story, great. He's done some good work for the people of Ohio. I have family in Ohio. I grew up in Ohio. They're happy with this choice. But we are Q, and we are next level researchers. And so as soon as that hits, we find out things like, I don't know, the fact that he was a CEO of a company called Ambrosia. I don't know if he's a CEO or one of the key people. And by the way, somebody said to me they were disgusted by Amber Rose being at the RNC because she's very satanic. And I basically said, her name is Amber Rose, and Vance is been chosen, and he was the head, and Peter Thiel financed a company called Ambrosia, which is the kind of the fancy term for adrenochrome. And so, you're right, independent many united. For what it's worth, Vance means from the swamp. It could be, a few different meanings, wetlands, marshland. but certainly swampland. Someone who lives near the swampland, or somebody who is from the swampland. How interesting is that? How interesting is the connection to Ambrosia? How interesting is the connection to Sidley Austin, which Q told us to pay attention to Sidley Austin, which is the law firm that he worked at out of Yale, and also the law firm that Michelle Obama worked at. So we kind of take our research to another level. And here's the thing that we're finding out. Kevin McCarthy, for example, 2 years ago, he was a top guy in the RNC. He was like persona non grata at the RNC this year. Why? Because he got to Speaker of the House, and we saw that he was still from the swamp, that he was a part of the swamp. And so we're not putting up with that kind of stuff anymore. Look at the criticisms of Michael Johnson. Cheers. That Michael Johnson has gotten. Look at the criticism that people that are elected to office. We're not putting up with anybody that couldn't that doesn't do what they said they're going to do. We're just not going to do that anymore. Yeah, Reagan had some great speeches. Honestly, I would. I think Donald Trump needs some new speechwriters. That's me. He is. I'm not inspired by Donald Trump's speeches like I was Ronald Reagan. And Ronald Reagan had some incredible speeches, and Donald Trump has the material for great speeches. And he does give some great speeches, and tonight was pretty fantastic, especially when he started talking about his experience. And the fact that he's even talking in front of this many people after something that happened just 5 days ago, that literally he think about what Trump has been thinking about the past 5 days. And first of all, he said he's not supposed to be here. If he doesn't turn his head, he's dead. He's dead. His whole life, all those grandchildren, all those children, they have no father, no grandfather anymore. Think about how, and also how many times did Trump think to himself, "Oh my God, if I was dead now, look at how I've spent the last 8 years, 9 years of my life." Being attacked every single day. Oh, by the way, after I had that fight in that game and I was kicked out, we went somewhere the next day, and one of my teammates said something in Turkish and said Manisa Tarzani, and I said, what did he say? And one of my other teammates said something. I can't remember the Turkish phrase now, but he basically said, "They call you Manisa Tarzani now," because that's very rare that you see somebody fight another player in a game in Turkey. They'll put hands on each other. They'll push each other. They'll have that disagreement, but they've never really seen a guy get leveled to the floor with a handful of punches like they did. And so they started calling me Manisa Tarzani. But Trump is getting hit like that every single day. And he's probably thinking to himself, why did I do that? Like, I could have been spending all this time with my daughter, my grandchildren. I could have been golfing. I could have been at the beach. I could have been at Mar-a-Lago having parties. I could have spent more time with Melania. What's he been thinking about the past 5 days? And I would, if I was writing his speech, I would have gotten into that a little bit. Like, I would have made this more personal, because the people trying to kill him have made it personal. The people trying to take him out of this race have made this very personal. And I would have gone to that. I would have gone to that personal place, and I would have accentuated the sacrifice that he has made for this earthly realm that we live in, because what I believe is happening, and there are a lot of people that don't believe this, and time will tell, but I do believe that Donald Trump is fighting evil. And I believe he is eradicating the evil from this planet with the Q team. And if that doesn't happen, if these people are not brought to justice, I've said this many, many times. I don't believe that Donald Trump would ever not follow through on that. Now that he's, we've seen what we've seen, and now it's the final stretch of his next presidency. I don't believe that he would never not follow through on that, because if he did not follow through on that, you and I, the Trump name to us would be mud. The Trump properties would be nothing, because Q told us they won't be able to walk down the street. Not just the people that committed these atrocious crimes against humanity won't be able to walk down the street, but we've also made it a point to be very, very clear that the people that gaslighted those people, the people that hid what those people were doing, the people that propped them up in society and looked the other way for their crimes against humanity, crimes against children, the press, the media, Hollywood executives, Hollywood directors, Hollywood producers, music labels, all over and over and over again, all of these people that propped up these players, they're equally as guilty, because these people would not have been able to do their crimes against children without that mechanism in place. So those people are going to go down as well. That's why I'm going to do this, get back into the movies, because Hollywood is dead. Hollywood is dead. Netflix is dead. All these companies, they're dying, because we are awakening, and we are seeing what they've been doing. We are seeing the manipulation. The late night talk show hosts, somebody mentioned Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Conan, David Letterman, all these people. Letterman's gone now, but he does his shows and stuff. All of these people, Jimmy Fallon didn't want to get into the political thing and the jab thing, but he had to. They're done, because we are aware of their infidelity to us. We are aware of, the fact that they have destroyed our relationship, because they have used the beautiful, archaic craft of comedy, of eliciting laughter from another human being, and they have used that to get you to lower your defenses, so that they can then jab you with the propaganda. So they're done. Hollywood is dead. All of these things are gone. They're not going to continue on in the new earth. And so there's opportunity here, and especially for somebody that, the only reason I don't, I was directing my first feature film a year and a half into being in Los Angeles, and it was picked up and purchased by HBO. And I had creative control. and people love it. People love it. It's a romantic comedy. The reason I didn't go to the next level is because I didn't get into that game. I didn't sell my soul. You know how many beautiful musicians are out there in the world that can't get a record deal because they won't sell their soul? Incredible music. And so we're bypassing these things. Look at some of the musicians that are coming out, through their red pilling, through their awakening, the great awakening, who have stepped up and become famous and made money because of this the exposure to the Hollywood mechanism that is meant to enslave us. And so this is all coming off this conversation I know about JD Vance, and you guys know me. When I get a question, sometimes the answer is an hour long. But we all want an event to occur that leapfrogs all the bridges that we're awaiting the normies to cross, so that we can move on. And Vance is not that, but Vance to me is somebody that is we are digging and exposing somebody like that. Anybody that Trump brings into the light is going to be exposed unless they have a really solid background. And people are really challenging and questioning Vance's background. From a standpoint of his choice, I support President Trump's choice because he knows what's happening before it happens. He knows more than we know. But I am also going to hold him accountable to the end result of those choices, if that makes any sense, right? So, okay. So probably a lot more came through. This is the real Trump, right? Hunter Sabo. I don't know. I will tell you that that I would have liked to see him get a little more personal tonight with this experience that he had, and the reflection on the past 5 days. Because, folks, what would have happened had he died on that stage? Where would we go from here? And I agree. I think more desperate moves as each day passes, Diane, if indeed the White Hats are not in control at this stage, which obviously they are not, unless, I don't think they are in certain situations. They are absolutely scared of him. So that was Sue, by the way, that asked that about Vance. Sue, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, he was touching on how close we were to losing him. But hi, Jan, how are you, my dear? And by the way, I do believe that I would have written a better speech for him than that. Rosemary, thank you, Dave. I'm so pleased I got a timely heads up for this broadcast. I'm so glad you did too, folks. Also on X, if you would hit the notification on X, which is where you can go to. I'll give you an example. It's right up here. If you go to @DaveSnedker on Twitter, it's the bell is right up here to subscribe, but it's just not here on me because of the fact that it's my account, so I can't can't do my account. Oh, here is the account. Kay Lee, David, I haven't watched not one night. This is the RNC, I think she's talking about. Announcing JD Vance as VP ruined it for me, and then they put this demon on stage. I'm wondering what the heck is going on. I watched the whole thing in 2020. I'm sickened and disgusted by the circus sideshow of 2024. Thank you, Kay. This is Amber Rose with the upside down cross. Very, disgusting, satanic imaging, God's favorite. And I just said her name is Amber Rose. Announcing JD Vance, people discovered ambrosia. Ambrosia, the fancy term for adrenochrome. Coincidence. So how is this going to be used to benefit us by allowing us to step into a new way of looking at things, right? John Johnson knew Vance was going to be the pick. No one believed me. Some people called that, but I wouldn't say it was very popular. So good call on that. Let me see. Oh, by the way, let's see. Melania doesn't grow old. She just grows graceful, period. Peggy Sue says, growing old for me sucks. Yeah, it's not easy. That's for sure. By the way, how am I coming through? Am I loud and clear? Mark, you're saying you're not getting this. These are kind of old because I was talking a while, so I need to catch up. Amazing speech from Eric. That was some good stuff. I agree. I love all my so-called imperfections. I earned everyone gracefully. Polar bear paws. I like that. Wow. President Trump kissing Corey's fallout gear. I lost it. That was pretty special. That was pretty cool. Yeah. RSBN has been devoted to President Trump, Maggie. I love it. Texas Liberty. I cut my Netflix over a year ago. Great. Good stuff. Man, I am way behind, aren't I? I use castor oil every day. So many uses. Folks, I'm going to reach out to Barbara O'Neill, and I'm hoping to do an interview series with her. I think she's fantastic. Let's see. Deke, my daughter's school just fired the principal and ditched all the stuff they were pushing in Dallas. Super happy things are changing. I fought them like Dave taught me. Beautiful. I'm honored that I was a part of that. Fantastic, because yeah, remember, I mean, we went through all this together, folks. This was amazing. Let's see. Susie, my friend was a firefighter under Corey. Mention it. Yes. Tragic. Let's see. Let me catch up with you here. Let's see. He was supposed to be at Corey's funeral, but I think they said he couldn't because of the basically the security risk, I believe. Rumble, we've been having some trouble with Rumble. That's really bothersome. I didn't see Melania holding her hands. Hi, Dina. Let's see. Yeah, supposedly Vance is not the size of Trump, but people say they saw him in 2022. Yeah. So let me, yeah, so I'm way behind. I'm going to catch up to you all, folks. Let me bring this. Holy cow, I'm way behind. Okay, my apologies. I got a little long-winded. Let's see. Nisi, I disagree, Dave. No, he needs to be strong, show no fear. At no point did I suggest that Trump should show fear. What I suggested was that he allow us a glimpse inside his personal thoughts, because that would accentuate how strong he is, that this is where you go when something like that happens. I believe that would absolutely be very, very powerful, but not showing fear. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of great stuff. Thank you guys all for these. Elaine, hi, how are you? Nessim Dorma, again, so many comms tonight, a literal checklist of Nasara and then gold balloons. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was going on, and the big number that I picked up on, a few of you caught, was the 107%, and that took me to the Q drop 107, November 5th, 2017. By the way, this year's election, is it November 3rd or 5th? I forget. Code: may God also grant all of us the wisdom to ask what concrete steps we can take to reduce the violence and weaponry in our midst. Note: when we just sent the go orders and when this tweet went live. Coincidence? Pray. There, but for the grace of God, Trump was almost not. And grant us the wisdom to ask what concrete steps we can take to reduce the violence and weaponry in our midst. Is that timely or what? Given the fact that he was almost assassinated. Yes. Yeah, very interesting connection to Ambrosia. Let's see. And the VP pick has changed. I don't understand that, but it could change if it doesn't. Yeah, Barbara O'Neill's great. Isn't she awesome? And I hope she does it. I haven't reached out yet, but I will. One of the Sneds put me in touch with her. Bamlo, it was a man that it was Corey, who was a firefighter that died. Oh yeah, Potato is finally given RFK Jr. security. I'm hearing a lot about severe inadequate coverage on Trump security as well. It's all going to come out, Dave. Yeah, I believe this is, and look at the connections to JFK too. He's staying at the hotel JFK would stay at in Milwaukee. He's it was the anniversary just 2 days ago of JFK Jr.'s plane crash. The connections to Q and the where we go one we go all was on the bell of JFK's boat. The Where We Go One We Go All was in White Squall, which we showed that trailer last night with Sir Oliver. We showed that, and there were a lot of comms in that trailer. Yeah, wow, Dave, I can't believe you're on Facebook. Well, thanks to Hawk Marsden, I'm on Facebook, and special thanks to Hawk too for kind of pulling me out of some deep and dark spaces to get back in front of you as well. So I'll always be grateful for him to kind of light the fire underneath me. Let's see. He said boom 3 times, 3 drops with 3 booms, all August deltas. Good call, Kellyanne. Thank you for that. And August is hot. I think August is going to be very, very important. Deke, love Barbara. She saved my dad from statins. Very cool. Mickey Mouse clock matched the time Melania walked out Central Time. Good catch, Mark. I love that you guys are looking at so much of this. Let's see. Kellyanne, Eric said moment instead of movement. 17 drops for moment. Interesting. Boo Baby. Hi, Dave. Didn't know you were live. Nice to see you again. Thanks for joining us. D. Hi, D. So you think the shooting was real? Yeah. Here's the thing, folks. What the biggest thing I have trouble getting over is Trump, or I'm sorry, Q saying that Trump is 100% insulated. And oh my God, somebody put this countdown online because we're expecting Biden to go bye-bye or announce he's stepping out of the race. Somebody put a live broadcast, will Biden outlast the lettuce? They've got a head of lettuce there. Picture of Biden. Oh my gosh. So I've been saying for a while, he's already gone. We know that. But I've been saying for a while that I think that he may die and that they're going to be having a little bit of sympathy, or also possibly, to boost the support that they could be getting, because they're going to rally around his death and kind of use that to kind of bolster the support, because they need everything. They need to try everything. This is, and I want to show you an interview that I thought was absolutely hilarious. I thought it was brilliant, but I wanted to show you this too. And I think I shared it, but I'm not seeing it. So, and it just came through today, and it was actually video of the bullet piercing his ear. I will look for it while you guys watch this interview here. And if you've seen this already, my apologies, but I do believe it's worthwhile seeing again. Here we go.
Yeah, my eyes aren't the best. They told me not to drive at night, but I'll tell you exactly what the shooter looked like. I saw him plain as day. He was up there, and he had a hat on that said Democrat on it, and he was laying down, but you could tell the shirt said Biden-Harris 2024, and he had bedazzled capri pants, and they had little teeny tiny abortion coat hangers all over, and he had a rainbow pair of socks, and I think they were custom Nikes, but I for sure saw Barack Obama and Joe Biden. They were 69ing on the shoes, and he was laying down like this, but he was also eating like an Impossible burger. And, my eyes aren't the best, and I was looking into the sun, but that's exactly what I saw. Yeah, we tried to warn him. We said, look, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. And I don't know if they outsourced some of the security. Must have been some of the guys from Uvalde, because they were a little slow on the uptake. We said, no, it's not children. It's the president. It's the president. And then the shooting started. It was just pop, 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 pew, 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 zing, boom, bing, 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 and that's when I knew something wasn't right. And just out of habit, I yelled, false flag gun grab, because that's just what I do when I see people shoot. And it's like Trump seen the whole thing. He was 10 steps ahead of everybody, because the shooter was there. And then he started doing the Matrix type thing, and then that's when the Secret Service and all their wives jumped up. I think it was Take Your Wife to Work Day, and he said, get behind me, boys, I'll protect you. And he just started snatching the bullets out of the air, and he caught a few in his teeth. He said, hop to it. You couldn't see it because Trump is so muscular, but right behind him was a kid in a wheelchair. They said the kid was terminally ill, and his last wish was just to go to a Trump rally, and he was just hoping that maybe he could touch the hem of Trump's garment and maybe be healed. But the kid was holding a puppy who was in a wheelchair too, and the puppy was terminally ill, and the puppy was holding a little teddy bear, and that was terminally ill too. And Trump said, "I'll protect the kid," and he just kind of did one of these, and the bullet bounced off his ear, pow, and ting. I don't know if it was a pow or a ting, but it was in that calamity that some of the bullet, I don't know if it was the ear bullet or one of the Hawk 2s, but they flew back and shot the shooter right in the head, and his brains just went everywhere. And he was, he was wearing a Democrat hat, so it wasn't a lot of brains to go around, but he was laying up there dead, and I just yelled out. I said, "PSYOP, MK Ultra, MK Ultra," because that's just what I do out of habit when people start shooting. And he was laying up there, and then I heard there was like a grassy knoll off to the side, and somebody said, "Malarkey. All right, let's get in the car, Kamala." And I don't know who that was, but there was somebody over there. So then Trump was helping all the Secret Service and their wives up, and he just stuck his fist in the air and he said, "Fight." And it was in that moment that I just started printing t-shirts because I was inspired to make some money on the way out of the rally. He said, "Fight." And I said, "T-shirt." And he said, "Fight." I said, "T-shirt." And then he moved him on along the stage, and there was a flag behind him. He had blood running down his face. And I said, "Other T-shirt." And it was beautiful. He carried all the Secret Service guys and their wives, and he put them in a SUV, and I'm pretty sure he drove them off to the hospital. Yeah, the cops are up there now. They're a little late, so that's Uvalde for sure. But I just want to say that there's no place, no matter where you stand, there's no place for political violence against any candidate that I like and agree with. And it's truly just a dark day in our nation's history. And I just hope that we can come together and buy a t-shirt.
I love that. I think that dude is, as a matter of fact, I was inspired earlier today, and I thought, I need to do an interview, like as if I'm being interviewed at the rally, and tell somebody exactly, what's going on based on everything I know about it. And then have them say, "So where were you during the shooting?" And I'd be like, "Texas." So that guy was fantastic. Right. Yeah. And, and he made these great insights through humor, right? And I want to show you this meme too. Let me see here. The bullet hit Trump, but it killed Joe Biden. The single gunshot that changed the trajectory of the world, by Matthew D'Ancona, the New European. I haven't read that yet, but I plan on reading that. I think that's really, really something. I think that it's a very serious thing. It's hard to make light of it, but I think it's also how we deal with things like this. But think about where we would be right now if that bullet hit him, square in the head. That would not have been good. Not have been good at all. Let me see who we got with us. We got about 475 on Rumble. So we're up at about what's that? 1740, somewhere in that ballpark. Welcome everybody. David Snedeker here with you live from my little Sned shed, my little studio here in just west of Austin, Texas. And it's we're live, and I welcome you, and I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you watching the RNC speech with me. Some really, really good stuff that we're talking about. I think it's very, very important to be covering some of the things that we're covering, some of the questions you guys are asking, um, and and I just wanted to put up something here. And he accepted the presidential nomination tonight, and gave a beautiful speech, and was it was the energy of the RNC, because of the events of last weekend, were truly like there was never been, I don't think, a convention with this kind of excitement. Certainly, just happy to have President Trump in the in attendance, and still quite quite alive, right? D Doodle, been a long time since I got to stay up late with the Sneds. Exactly, right? Let's see. That's why I'm here. Awesome. Rumble issues as usual. Man, I really wish, I would like to have my own platform. That did not happen. The company just was not good, and yeah. Hand of God moment. I agree, Janice. I'm agree. I very much agree. Let's see. I stayed up late last night with Dave. Good old days are here again. Numgared. Yes. Yes, that was a good one. That was a 7-hour show last night, my friends, with Sir Oliver. I highly recommend it. The dive was just amazing. The conversation, the feedback I'm getting from you all was really, really fantastic. Let me go into. By the way, I couldn't find that, but if anybody has that that video of the angle where we actually see his ear being hit, I do believe, going back to Elaine's question, I do believe that thank you, Hawk. I do believe that that it really happened. Let's see. Let me bring that up. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is a good one too. I saw this earlier. This was really good. Oh, it might have been. Let me see if it's here. Yeah, some really interesting stuff. I mean, this is how close it was right here, folks. I've got to share it with you here. Let's see. Here it is. Nope, it didn't go big on me again. But I shared this last night. Why is that not? Damn it. It's not going big for me. For some reason, I don't understand why. This is good. So every time I try to make the screen bigger, let me see if I can do it over here. Into there it is. Saturday's. Well, that was an interesting news piece on the radio just now. So the FBI have officially concluded their investigation into Saturday's shooting in Pennsylvania. They have issued an arrest warrant for Donald Trump for interfering with a government-orchestrated assassination attempt, for leaving the scene of a shooting with only minor injuries, for unauthorized use of a miracle, and conspiring with God to survive. It sounds like another witch hunt. Well, that was an interesting news piece on the radio. Just yeah, that's not not surprising, by the way, that that they haven't gone after him for such things. And by the way, the let me play this too for you here.
With
Let me go back. Oh, for crying out loud!
never been more proud to be a part of the Trump campaign as I
What the hell's going on?
campaign as I am tonight. I watched today as a man with blood pouring from his head in excruciating pain, with gunfire still being exchanged, raise his head up above the arms of the Secret Service who were saving his life, and look dead into the camera and speak to the American people and say, continue to fight. You see, it's important to note that President Trump in that moment had absolutely no idea what the outcome was going to be. All he knew is that he had been struck and he was bleeding out. But he wanted to make sure that if it was his last message to the American people, that it was a message of courage, strength, and more importantly, for them to continue to fight to save this country. President Trump displayed an amount of courage and passion for America that, quite frankly, I have never in my life seen any politician or any candidate for office display. And while there's talk all across the world tonight as to how this happened, how did we get here as a country? We all know exactly how we got here as a country. We got here because the Democrats, the left, the mainstream media, and even the voters who voted for Joe Biden have spread the hateful rhetoric that led us to this evening. We watched as CNN put the headlines out there that President Trump had fallen. CNN knew exactly what had happened because they were sitting right there in the media gallery. Every single major news network who pretends they don't know what happened and they put out these headlines making light of the situation are absolutely lying to the American people, tried to make light of the situation and pretend that it wasn't as serious as it was. They knew because they were there. But my focus tonight is not on the corrupt mainstream media or the corrupt Democrats. My focus is on President Donald Trump.
Very well said. By the way, CNN was carrying that live. They had that New York Times had the photographer with a very high speed camera. I think they knew something was going to go down. I think they knew that this was going to be major, and that's why they aired it. And because in the past they haven't aired any of his rallies because they don't want to give him that press. They don't want to give it to him. And how disgusting is that? That they were all now, broadcasting this message. Let's look at some of the sum of all fears since that music was chosen. Again, nothing is an accident, right? The and that's Hawk. Hey, Hawk. Hold on. Hey, Hawk. How you doing? I'm just hearing me, Hawk. Yes. Turn me off in the background. Turn me off in the background. Okay. Go ahead. Okay. Okay. Ian Carroll. Okay. Yes. Brunson. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, bro. And I was sharing that during the during the RNC too. Thanks, man. All right. See you. Thanks. Thank you, bro. See you. Good night. So Hawk Marsden was just let me know a couple things that the war correspondent photographer was interviewed at the RNC today. Ian Carroll might have that. But also the Brunson case is going to be re-looked at and on Monday, I think. And Clarence Thomas put that out today, and that was in Newsweek, by the way. And I was showing that earlier, but I'll show that in a moment. So all movie references made by Q should be mandatory viewing for all anons, including but not limited to White Squall. Remember, we showed that last night. We showed that that trailer. Godfather 3. White Squall has a lot of references to Where We Go One and We Go All, and the storm and the squall, which is another level storm. Godfather 3 is a lot of connection to the Vatican, the mafia, also taking out your opponents. Okay, The Hunt for Red October. We've been down that road many times. Also involving Russia, involving Ukraine, involving the whole thing about the Alec Baldwin case. I feel that was a hit because the woman that was murdered, her husband worked for Latham and Watkins, which was a big law firm that was dealing with the Ukraine, and how 3 Cypriot companies were suing the Ukraine for $6 billion. And it should have been a layup, but Ukraine got out of that. So that's $6 billion in the coffers of the deep state. But that's a long story. That was that live I did from Vegas years ago in 21. Was it 21? And then of course The Sum of All Fears. I got to watch that again, maybe this weekend. But that music that was played tonight pointed to The Sum of All Fears, and that's taken out the deep state. And Iron Eagle. I haven't seen that in a long time. Double meanings exist. Of course, the Iron Eagle was the symbol of the Nazi party. The Nazi order, NWO, N does not refer to new. The Sum of All Fears, North Korea, POTUS, hostage, threat, disarm, stage set, freedom. What we're facing with Ukraine is and by the way, remember when Putin said he wanted to rid Europe of Nazis? And that's what he's doing in Ukraine, because Ukraine has the Azov Battalion, which their favorite man was the guy who let the Nazis into Ukraine, and that was Bandera. Focus on Hussein. That's Obama, as we know. Revelations coming very soon. Huma, Saudi Arabia. Hussein. HRLR first. That is that Lynn? No, it's not Lynn Rothschild's. HLR. I got to find out who HLR is. Civil rights attorney, 13th District Senator DNC Hussein versus HRC versus McCain. Why is this relevant? This is a lot of stuff with Hussein when Trump was president. North Korea. Let's see. Why are all the sexual harassment claims? They're trying to take him out. This defines state. How do you remove your enemies from position? The Sum of All Fears. Why are sexual harassment coincidence? What is a pill? When is it hard to swallow? How do you remove your enemies from positions of influence and authority? Define stages, puppets, handlers, proxy war, proxy war, proxy war. Expand your thinking. Think, have faith. These people are losers. This is the kind of point where I was saying, when you're being attacked all the time, you have to start looking at the people. You have to do it from the word go, but you got to look at them as losers, because that's the only way they can defeat you is by cheating. And that lifts a lot of the that protects you from a lot of the arrows. What did I think it was who said that, Einstein, was it, that the arrows flung at me do not affect me at all, for I do not dwell from where they come from. Something to that effect. If you guys could look that up and drop that in chat, that would be cool. This is, Iran, who we were talking about, Huma, last night, because she just got engaged to Alex Soros. Q told us to follow Huma. Uranium One, Canada, EU, Asia, Iran, North Korea. This is all a part of the Uranium One scandal, which Mueller was involved in, which Hillary was involved in, Trudeau was involved in. This will be a part, I believe, of taking out Trudeau. Trudeau must go. Where did it end up? What was the purpose? Who was supposed to win the election of 2016? That was going to be Hillary. What was the Iran deal kept from Congress and placed at the highest level of classification? We talked about how much money was hand delivered by planes. Why in cash? The drop of, not the drop, but the news unlocking the map, the Twitter drop, the tweet where Biden was getting on the plane, took us to the Iran situation, where they loaded I think 4 planes full of cash. Where did they actually land? What was the cover? Who paid for Barack Obama to attend Harvard? That was Saudi Arabia. That was Prince Al Walid. Why would this occur pre-political days? Who was the biggest contributor to the CF? That was Saudi Arabia, 150 million. The graphic is key. Why does the MSM push conspiracy without investigation? Who controls the MSM? What does the word conspiracy mean to you? Has the word conspiracy been branded to mean something shameful in today's society? That was branded by none other than Edward Bernays for the CIA, to be used as weaponized to make people who are critical thinkers discredit them. Hawk, HLR's Harvard Law Review. Thank you. Harvard Law Review. Let me go back to that HLR. HLR was Hussein was the president of the Harvard Law Review when he was at Harvard. And of course, Huma is the Harvard University Muslim alumni, financed by Saudi Arabia, Prince Al Walid, who used the kingdom's, the people of the kingdom's funds for his personal gain. And that's when he was taken out, was after he tried to assassinate Mohammed bin Salman. And let's see. The world cannot handle the truth. This pill cannot be swallowed by most. Risk in painting this picture, the sum of all fears. Again, similar thing. Why? What does it mean to be covered in gold? The Y family, that is the Rothschilds. What does this represent? The 3 sides of the triangle, which is Saudi Arabia, Soros, and Rothschilds. And Saudi Arabia has already fallen. Rothschilds and Soros have yet to fall. And that's why Huma is with Alex, because we're supposed to watch Alex fall, I believe. And that's the sum of all fears. And then I think there's a few more with just sum of all fears. Yes. There are more people good in the world than there are bad. Cuban Missile Crisis, JFK, do comms only go to a nonce bigger than you can imagine? Expand your thinking. and then some of the ones we've already seen. Yeah, so that is, we were directed there tonight, weren't we? Some of all fears with that music. So very important for us. I think, folks, what's so important for us to remember is that unless Huma is a dude, it's not going to work out. Yeah, a lot of people think that Alex is gay. But that's I think it's a white hat move to expose Soros. Honestly, some people think that and we think Hillary might come back into the picture, and so that could also be Hillary's right hand and Soros, a match made in heaven to bring Hillary back into the public eye and to move forward. I wanted to share this with you as well. This is Zena Gill. Donald Trump shows the same chart at RNC that saved his life when he tilted his head to look at it during the Pennsylvania rally. Last time I put up that chart, I never really got to look at it, but without that chart, I would not be here today. This is the illegal immigration to the U.S., where the smallest is when he was leaving office. So he, let's see, tariff threat leads to Mexican cooperation. So they started cooperating and it started dropping significantly all the way down to the lowest point, it looks like, ever. And then when Biden came into office, look what happened. Thank God for this chart, because if he wasn't looking at this chart up behind him, everybody does believe that he would be dead because of the way that bullet was going to hit him, had he not. And this is this story, my friends, of that the Supreme Court reconsiders case to reinstate Trump. Look at the timing on this, my friends. See, there shouldn't even be an election in November, and a lot of us have thought there's not going to be. But they're set to consider whether or not to hear a lawsuit that seeks to remove President Joe Biden from the White House and reinstate former President Donald Trump to office. This is the Brunson versus Adams lawsuit, and it claims that lawmakers violated their oaths of office by allegedly failing to investigate a foreign intervention in the 2020 presidential race, which allegedly rigged the election against Trump. The case is based on the claim that the defendants, who include Congress members Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Pence, voted to certify the 2020 presidential election after receiving a valid request from 154 members of Congress to investigate unfounded claims of electoral fraud in 6 states. The Supreme Court declined to consider the lawsuit on January 9th, but Raylan Brunson filed an appeal on January 23rd. Now the court has to reconsider whether or not to hear the case, according to an update on the SCOTUS's website that read that the lawsuit was distributed for conference on Friday. So it's going to be Friday, actually, tomorrow, I think. The petition was denied. We will now make our next move, Brunson wrote on Facebook after the court declined the case on January 9th. This is very interesting, my friends. Very, very interesting. We were taken also to a Supreme Court post last night. And a lot more evidence is coming out that the more and more time that passes, the more and more becomes apparent that it was stolen. They've also found that those Dominion voting machines also that they could, be connected to the internet, that you could change the votes, et cetera, right? Lord, please let justice be done. Absolutely. God, please let justice be done. Okay. Let's see. I want to show you once again. Let's see. Let's see. Boo Baby says, Dave, the RNC had Make America Great once again. Search once in the drops. It's not normally something I would search, but I'm gonna do it. And this was the first post back for Q after being gone for a year and a half. Shall we play a game once more? Some other significant points were, are you ready to serve once again? That was 3 stars. We had a feeling that meant General Flynn at the time. Yeah, so there's a few connections, a lot of stuff that shows, concern. Yeah. Let's see. By the way, this was the China-U.S. to temporarily cease trade hostilities before G20 summit. Trump threatens worst trade deal for China if Beijing stalls until after his reelection. U.S. President Donald Trump has once again criticized China's trade practices. Remember, folks, that trade deal was also the thing that the reason why they had to start the CV, because they had to get him out of office because the trade deal that Trump negotiated was going to destroy China. They were not going to be able to survive that, right? Yeah. Let's see. Let me see. Dave, 107 had got himself very involved with Brunson Brothers, and that made me very concerned about this case. What should we think of that POS 107? He's he doesn't have anything, so he had to jump on board that, and I think he did push that. I think he did some good for that, but it hasn't led to anything, and a lot of people thought that was going to be the solution back then. But also, people that don't have anything really legitimate to share have to attach themselves to things such as that to justify their position or justify their existence. That's what I think about that. So so I wanted to look at just a few more things on my timeline here. Let me see. Oh, this is great, by the way. Max Boot, who was a internet personality and very big on X, he wrote an op-ed. Here are 18 reasons Trump could be a Russian asset. Okay, and he was very anti-Trump all the way through. He was pushing Russia the whole time. Big old POS. Washington Post columnist Max Boot's wife was just charged with being a foreign agent. After years of him writing and calling me, Trump, and others agents of foreign powers. You cannot make this up. Huge. This is funny when you're supposed to be having fun, but you still want to wake people up. Yeah, that's pretty much me. The Invention Secrecy Act. You might want to check this out on my timeline. prevent disclosure of new inventions and technologies that, in the opinion of selected federal agencies, present an alleged threat to the economic stability or national security of the United States. Remember, folks, all of this burying of technology that we have been unable to get our hands on, the reason why they're able to do this is because they're trying to tell us it's in our best interest or in the interest of national security. A declassified document from 1971 listing the categories of inventions that the Patent Office would refer to the Armed Services Patent Advisory Board for consideration of becoming classified under the Invention Secrecy Act. Categories. This shows all the categories computers, materials, geodesy, power supply, propulsion systems, radiology. They themselves admit that free power is banned for the economy's sake. Folks, Tesla was able to get power, energy from the sky, out of the ether. And that's what all the old spires were, and the bells, and the sacred geometrical figures in the church windows. And churches were frequency. Churches were connecting directly to frequency. The pyramids were getting power out of the ether. There's a lot of people that believe, and I haven't really done a deep dive into this, but if you look at the reason why they grounded the Concorde, wasn't because of the nonsense that they were going through, because it was a very sound jet, but it was because people were starting to question where the fuel was, because airliners say they keep all their fuel in wings, but and further searches that there's not enough fuel to make those trips. You have to have a certain amount of fuel to run that engine at that speed for that length of time, and it's not possible to have that amount of gasoline in some of those jets. And so people believe that once they get up to the ether with the gasoline, with the gas engines, that they're able to tap into the ether to propel those engines. This is a big theory. A lot of people have done a lot of research into that. You might want to check it out yourself. Rainwater sample returned these results. Michael Green, this past July 5th, 2022, this is a couple years old, but he found all these elements in the precipitation from the air. So this is what is falling down on us in the rain. And what we're seeing is Tennessee has stopped the geoengineering, and 6 other states are looking into it. So you might want to contact your state and say, your state rep, and say, what are you guys doing about the spraying? Look at all these countries that are look at all these states that are stopping this. And why aren't we one of them? Right. Just a few more things, and then I'm going to call it an evening, folks. I did a long 7-hour show last night. This web, I haven't listened to George in a while because of he had a falling out with what's his name, his old partner, Jason Goodman, and I just kind of stepped out of it because I didn't know who was right, who was wrong. But George has done some good work, and so I don't think you should throw the baby out with the bathwater. So let me share George Webb here on the
Okay, hello everyone. George Webb here, following up on our water tower story, our Clairton story as well. Our Clairton, Clairton. If you remember in my earlier episode this morning, we drew a line basically between the two people that were victims, these trees being the victims. We traced the line and went to this water tower area, not over toward the low shooter perch of Crooks. So indicating a second shooter. We didn't really go into much into the victims here. We didn't go into the victims much, but one of them, well, it turns out there was a whole Pittsburgh police section. There was a whole Pittsburgh police section to the event, at the Trump event, 10 officers being sent from the Pittsburgh section. And what's even more interesting is those folks trained at the Clairton facility. Not only did the Pittsburgh contingent that was injected into this Butler event train there, but also ICE, the folks that do the border patrol and so forth, and then also DHS trained at that facility. And not only that, but also simulations were run at that facility for this shooter incident. For, again, this idea of live exercise at the Clairton facility. Not only that, there's ties with Hollywood to the Clairton facility. Deer Hunter, we talked about in the last film, was actually filmed in Clairton at the Clairton facility. And we know that there are Hollywood connections. We know there are Hollywood connections, as you remember, with the Rails Brothers. The Rails Brothers winning an Academy Award. And again, the connections to Robert De Niro and the Rails Brothers keep coming back in our story over and over again with these CIA stories, these CIA crime mob stories, the partnership of the CIA and the mob. So here we have more metadata, which talks about this scenario, this two-shooter scenario being rehearsed potentially at the Clairton facility. One, of course, is going to be Crooks here on this position. This actually could have been a place you could have done the rehearsal if we would just go down this road a little bit and go 140 yards out from the corner of that building. And then this water tower being another 50 yards beyond, this actually could have been a place where you could have done a rehearsal as well. I don't know if this kind of configuration exists in Clairton, but the key here again is we see these live exercises that tend to give us a premonition or a foreshadowing, foretelling of what's going to happen in the future. And by looking at the live exercises that are run, we can get an idea pretty clearly of what may happen in terms of real life events. So we know Crooks is involved in Clairton. We now know these 10 police officers where the victims are. We now know these 10 police officers where the Pittsburgh section. And it looks like the section that wasn't Trump's section, but the Pittsburgh section was the old scores section. It was where there were some old scores to be settled. Could have even been Compatore. His uncle Fruman, his step-uncle Fruman, was related to Mark Fruman of the OJ trial. From yesterday's in Sabre, Pennsylvania, through the memorial service, we now know that his uncle, step-uncle, was related to Mark Fruman with the OJ trial. So that's another one of those mass formation psychosis events. Again, I don't want to pick on the Rails Brothers being a part of this Mossad mafia or a part of the mafia that creates these mass formation psychosis events and then turns around and makes movies about them to capitalize on them financially. But they just won the Oscar, So I'm not, we're not going too far here in our extension with the connection to the Chicago mob and Korshak. The other interesting twist to all of this story, in addition to the rehearsals at the Clairton facility and the old scores that seem to be settled in the Pittsburgh section, we have these four of the motorcycle cops are wounded. So it should be easy to get their names. And again, you have this kind of cook's broth or too many cooks in the kitchen confusion that seems to be the recurring theme in all of these shootings. He said, she said, and that's kind of the excuse that tends to be put out with these events. We'll keep following the events here, but the connections just keep coming up. The Rails Brothers with the Danaher, you remember the pump and dump, they're getting into all of the detection technologies around COVID with all the pump and dump schemes with Danaher. And now we have crossover between the Danaher executives and the American Glass Research executives. with knowledge. That building that the shooter Crooks shot from, which is now being an FBI crime site where they're going into all the computers and extracting all the information from the computers, all the research with these self-extracting thumb drives, that was just sold 4 months ago to Raytheon. So this is, there's some industrial espionage going on in the background here as well. We'll keep following it for you here in Butler, Pennsylvania.
So there's some significance to some of the thoughts there by him, but definitely this just bears some more digging by us to find what actually happened on that day. We need to know. We need to stop playing around with all this and just really get to the bottom of it. Because this is there was there's water tower Hey Jasper, what are you doing? What are you doing, buddy? I just threw something for him to play with, and now he's barking at it. So we got to get to the bottom of it, but there's much more to look at. There's much more to do. But what's amazing is the level and the speed at which we are dissecting this event in like real time. Let me show you something right here while I go take care of him. You guys saw the woman accosted. Secret Service agent, the head of Secret Service.
One of us have questions that we wanted to ask. We felt we didn't get any of the responses that were necessary from you. Very disappointing in your leadership. I have called for your resignation, and I would rather you resign tonight or start answering our questions right now about the death threat to President Trump and allowing him to go on stage in Pennsylvania at a time when he'd already been alerted that there was somebody with a spotter. All these situations were already identified an hour before, and you let him go on stage without the knowledge of him, the team on the ground, and you put him within less than an inch of his life. So resignation or full explanation to us right now.
We are trying to get our question back, and he never was running the phone. It was not a van. The director who was nearly killed. You leave an hour out, you have a suspicious person, and at 5:51, according to the timeline of your deputy, you've identified a potential threat. And then at 5:53, you told, or someone told, that the sniper that he was there. But can you give us an explanation? Why would anyone allow the president to go on stage when you know that you've got a potential threat and you've got snipers that are trained on it? Why? I don't think that this is the format.
Wait a minute. You hung up on it. We're here. You cut out the meeting straight.
Partners who have helped secure the Republican National Convention, and I would not want to take away from their safety.
Well, we can find a place to go right now.
Yes. All right,
No, we're going with you.
They chased her. They basically follow her. They said, we're going to get these answers now. These are congressmen and senators right here. They won't be able to walk down the street, my friend. This is all changing. Look, they're running from them. They're chasing her down. She gets up on the escalator and finally keeps going.
You owe answers.
These are congressmen and women and senators. I don't know exactly who all is here.
The president should have this for the protection, crying out loud.
Yeah, look at that. and they seal them off. So, you know, they won't be able to walk down the streets, my friends. This is happening in real time. Like you and I are experiencing this historical time in human history where we're seeing things play out that we never thought we'd see. This is the same CIA that has been responsible for horrible, horrible crimes against humanity for decades. And they are being exposed, and they will be exposed. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that moment. I believe that's all I have. You know, there's video of the water tower. The water tower is very concerning just because of the angle. If it's up that high, then you're not going to get two people. You're going to get one, and then you're going to get the bleacher. Maybe the person next to them or two people next to them. That's it. Because of the trajectory, and they need to do that research right away, the trajectory, to find out where this is coming. I want to end with this little cartoon here. Not to take this lightly, but this is to show the way in which the Secret Service took things very lightly, and or from the top brass were, you know, explaining or apologizing this away and allowing this to happen. Here we go. It's just a minute.
Being checked. Which building? The only building in front of the stage. Ah, that building. Maybe not. How maybe not? You think?
By the way, this is, I don't know where this is from, but it's obviously a foreign country.
It's necessary. I see a guy moving on the roof. Ah, the usual guys. Boss is very suspicious. He might be doing a parkour. He's lie down flat on his stomach. He's probably resting after doing parkour. He's looking towards Trump. Maybe the Trump fan tried to get a better view of him. Okay, he's pulled out a rifle. A rifle. Definitely a rifle. Can you tell if it's a real rifle? How I know if it's real? Maybe it's fake, and we are worrying for nothing. It's a real rifle. Very strange. Boss, awaiting your orders. Do you see any clay pigeon shooting devices? I don't think he's practicing shooting clay pigeons. We need to be sure, Frank. Boss, now he's aiming towards Trump. Can you see his expression? What expression? His facial expression. He seems to be mad. I don't know, boss. Or is he looking at him admirably? I can't tell. Maybe it's just using the rifle scope to get a better look. Boss, if we don't act now, he will shoot him. Stay calm, Frank. I don't think. He's shooting, boss. Holy cow. He's still shooting. What do I do? Are you sure you don't see any clay pigeons around? No clay pigeons. All right, in that case, fire a warning shot immediately. We couldn't have known, Frank. We did everything we could. Some things are just unpredictable. An attack on a presidential candidate and the guy shooting. This is not the US I know.
Well, my friends, that is, you know, kind of the idiocracy that we're dealing with here with this Secret Service and with this absolute assassination attempt against Donald Trump. And it's unbelievable, the holes that were left open in this protection of him. None of it makes sense. None of it makes sense whatsoever. Thank you all for joining me for this evening. I am going to come back tomorrow evening with another broadcast. So please, again, hit your bell notifications on Rumble and on X. Thank you to the, what is it, 5, 7, 800, almost 1,800 beautiful humans that decided to spend some time with me tonight. I hope it was enjoyable for you. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. Thank you to those who are looking to support this Truthcast and my research and my work here. It is much appreciated. And I bid you a good night. Be well. Much love.